What's going on, guys? I'm Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson.
It's the MMA Guru. I'm here as well, guys. What's up?
Today's episode, we're going to be breaking down Holloway's big win over Dustin Poirier and everything under UFC 318, the whole card.
And not only will we be breaking down UFC 318, but we got a ton of fun current events to break down as well. Conor McGregor pictures. We got to talk about it. Jon Jones at the White House. We got to talk about it. Everything that's going on in the MMA world, even Usyk's win over Dubois this weekend. We've got to talk about it here on the Mighty Guru Show.
Without further ado, enjoy the Mighty Guru Show.
He's out cold badly. Jon Jones defense out of Demetrious Johnson there at the end. I am a piece of shit, but my content's really good. Try and look beyond how terrible of a person I am.
The Mighty Guru Show.
This episode of the Mighty Guru podcast is sponsored by PrizePicks. Now, PrizePicks is a daily fantasy sports game you can play directly from your phone. Your boy took a lot of L's last night. I was so close to cashing in on one of those bad boys or one of our lineups, but Guru, I don't know how you did.
We'll be back next month. We'll take on next month for another PrizePicks attempt.
Because at the end of the day, we're having a good time, and you guys can have a good time too. All you gotta do is go to your app store, download PrizePicks, and when you do that, use our promo code Mighty Guru. Cool promotion going right now. You make your first $5 play to new user only. You're gonna get $50 in your lineup. So boys, just make your picks at the right place, which is PrizePicks. Now, let's get back to business. Break it down everything under the sun of UFC 318 and all the current events. Let's hit it. Bring the champ in. There's the champ. There's the champ. D, don't come in here. Oh, Connor, what are you doing? D, don't come in here, eh? Okay, I gotta wrap this weight up, understand, eh? How you, brother?
Don't come in, D. You're going to expose me, yeah? Give me some time, D. Give me half hour in here, yeah? It's hurting me in here, yeah?
Oh, man.
Don't open that door, D.
You had me and my dad fucking rolling that night, man. That was some good content. That was some great content.
I mean, I thought we were going to jump straight in there with Poirier versus Holloway 3 talks, but if we want to talk about McGregor's activities, we can maybe get to that towards the end. Who knows?
I mean,
circle back round.
I mean, we'll get to it. You know, I just wanted, just good to see you. You know, I got to give you respect or whatnot. But how you doing, man? Doing good?
I'm doing good. I'm obviously tired. I was up. I was full of energy after Poirier versus Holloway 3. Whew. I think it delivered for MMA fans. It was one of those ones where there was certain endings you just didn't want.
Yeah.
When Poirier got knocked down in round 1, I was literally screaming on commentary. Oh, he dropped Poirier in round 1. Poirier's down. He's back up though, chat. I was going, oh, it's gonna be sad.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a sad ending. But then he sort of bounced back, had his moment in round 2, and it sort of became a thing where everybody got their own little win.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't too humiliating. It wasn't too destroying. No one got flatlined. What did you think about the main event, Demetrious?
I thought it was great. I think the biggest difference in that fight was the body kicks. Like each time Max fights, and I never forget when he fought Jose Aldo, I think it was the second time. And once he started throwing that body kick, I was like, dude, that is the game changer when you fight, is when you throw those body kicks. And you saw it even in this fight with Max versus Dustin. Each time he threw that body kick, it's like taking a baseball bat and just hitting the ribs and the arms. And Dustin isn't a guy who catches it and runs the pipe and starts to wrestle. And then I think it was round 3 or 4, he did catch the kick. But you have to make a decision. When he caught that kick, he ate that. You eat it and then you catch it. So all that energy. And then I listened to the press conference and Dustin was saying, he goes, yeah, when Max was throwing the 2 to the body, that didn't hurt me. But that body kick though, I'm pretty fucking banged up. And people don't realize when you have Southpaw versus Orthodox, you throw that kick, it's money. Mm-hmm. Then, that was the technical thing Max did very well. But when he dropped Dustin, I was screaming my ass off. Nice. Oh, there you go, baby. Back that guard. There you go. Hooks. And I'm like, dude, put your hooks in and start to fucking grapple. But he lit him up. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? But I think he wanted that clash, that knockout. But it was a good fight. I think it's I think when people go into it, my wife said today, she goes, I'm glad that you didn't go into a camp telling everybody that this is your last fight, or having all the media surround you talk about this is your last retirement fight, She was like, I'm glad like you fought and then it was done, and then you took a year off and then you retired, because I think for him doing that, going in there, it's your last fight. He went out on a loss. He got dropped. The fight was very competitive. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, fuck, man. I think they all want to go out on a W, and they didn't. And I think maybe it's a hard pill to swallow. But the press conference, he was saying like, hey, you know what? I still compete with one of the best in the world, which Max is one of the best in the world. And I mean, it was a great fucking fight. It was a banger. It was a banger.
It was a great fight. It wasn't as great as some of the others, because I think Holloway just he was ahead by so much that there wasn't much, other than at the end of the second round, there wasn't much that Poirier was doing other than a couple knees here and there that kind of gave him momentum.
Yep.
So normally there'd be a bit more back and forth in a Holloway fight or a fight of the year contender. But I agree with you, man. The retirement narrative going in, it kind of adds like the vibe of like a funeral.
Yeah.
When someone's going out there, because everyone's sort of like wincing as Poirier goes past, like, God, I hope it goes well for him,
Yeah.
It's almost like, this could be really bad. It adds a different level of energy to the entire event, where even for Poirier, which I'm sure is probably why you didn't, maybe you would, I don't know, because you said you didn't go through this whole, I'm going to retire this time beforehand. I'm sure for Poirier, the whole event must have been like, I mean, be happy, guys, Yeah. Everyone's like asking him questions in a sour tone in a way, like, it's going to be your last one. What's the pressure like? So I feel like that retirement added a different layer to this. And Holloway is in the mindset of, he's still salty about Ilya beating him. Like, he's got different, Poirier's already thinking about, oh, I'm done, I'm checked out. And I actually think at the end of the fight, when Holloway pointed down and Poirier clinched at the very end, he retired.
Yeah.
He retired right there. That was a sign. I think Poirier looking for his title shot does not clinch at the end of that fight. And I think that was the difference here.
Yeah.
But yeah, Holloway's body work throughout the fight was amazing. He's always done that against people with high and tight guards that are boxers. Arnold Allen, he does amazing body kicks against in their fight. Anthony Pettis was a similar opponent as well. He did really nasty body kicks in that fight as well. So his body work was going to be the thing that dictated this fight, because Poirier couldn't ever get momentum. Anytime he tried to step forward on Holloway, he just got every time. And he's not Bo Nickel, so he can take him.
Yeah.
I mean, he can take him for 5 straight rounds if he needs to, but Holloway was still digging in with those shots to the body. It was nasty to watch.
Yeah. You said something too, when you the last 10 seconds and when Max started doing the combinations a lot faster, just taking it to Dustin, you had that, like you said, he checked out. It was like, I'm going to grab this guy. I think Michael, the producer, said in the press conference, Dustin says, I had to grab him. Like, I couldn't keep up or anything like that. And I think there's a point in time in an athlete's career when they don't want to take any more abuse and damage. I saw a White Championship fight, a guy named Topuria. He was fighting a young, explosive kid. And they were going at, like, this kid was just beating the shit out of him. And there was a part of it, he was trying to get it, Topuria was trying to get out of the ring. Like, you can see the fear in his eyes. Like, I don't want any more part of this, get out. And that's like, the guy's been fighting for so long. And I think there's a switch in an athlete's brain, whether you're a football player, something when you're in a physical combat sport where you're getting hit, where you're like, my body's like, you know what? I don't want to take this anymore. And I think at the very end for Dustin versus Max, he took a lot of damage in that fight. He took a lot of damage for his final fight inside. And prior to us jumping on here, I was going through his career. The last 4 years, a lot of people would say, oh, DJ's a hater, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, you look at the last 4 years of Dustin's career, it has been up and down. He gets submitted by Charles Oliveira. Then he beats Michael Chandler, submits him. Then he gets beat by somebody else. Then he knocks out BSD. Then he he got KO'd by Gaethje with the head kick before that. And then after that, he loses to Islam, and then he just loses it to Max Holloway. So that's an up and down career. It's not like, he was on like a 6-fight win streak and then he loses 2 and he's done. It was like, I win, I lose. I win, I lose. I win, I lose, right? So, but overall, amazing career. He made a shit ton of money. I think, if I had to pick the best parts of Dustin's career, I'll probably say the Dan Hooker fight. That fight was amazing just because the apex, it was quiet and you see, you hear the leather landing. And then the Conor McGregor trilogy, like Conor beats him the first time, he comes back, beats Conor. And then the third fight, it was going, and then Conor broke his leg. Jolie was in his DMs. Like he made so much money from that fight. But overall, an amazing career.
And who knows what was going on in those DMs? I don't want to make it about that, but honestly, with McGregor's recent behavior, I don't want to know what was going on in those DMs, to be honest with you. So, God bless that whole situation. But yes, it was a very nice retirement from Dustin Poirier. I feel like the crowd, they had to be reminded, in a way.
But I think they were all sad. They were all sad. They're like, God damn it.
Yeah, but you got to put that aside. You got to put your own emotion aside to give. I wanted some Dustin chants, but it was all, the crowd was stayed out there in attendance, and it was a good retirement. Holloway was respectful, very respectful. He jumped on the mic afterwards, tried to get some more praise for Dustin Poirier. But you just mentioned, what was your favorite moment from Poirier's career? And people were giving you a bit of flack for saying it was just up and down, because it sounds demeaning because your career was a lot of up. You know what I'm saying? So when you say, up, down, people might think you're calling him a journeyman. But the thing is, Poirier's up and down is not the same as, some of these unranked guys up and down. Yeah. Poirier's up and down is, when he comes down, it's because he's found out he's not the best in the world at this moment. Yeah. And that's been his career recently at lightweight, bar this one loss to Holloway at the very end. So when people hear his career's up and down, it sounds bad, but dude, having a career up and down when you're in title contention at all times. Yeah. Poirier beat the rest. He just couldn't beat the best in his career. So he became the best of the rest. In the process, Poirier is the best of the rest. The guys that never won a real belt, an undisputed title. Poirier sort of became the staple of this guy's the one. This guy's the one who's respected more than some people who have claimed belts in their career while never actually having a real championship, because he's that fucking good, man. Yep. But, he did look like he missed a step over the past few years. I will say that. And I thought that's good. It's good that he lost, because I didn't want Poirier to retire thinking, oh, what if I've still got it? What if I can still compete? You don't want to retire. It's almost good to get that closure on your career. Okay, I gave it my all in that last fight, and man, I felt better in my other fights. So maybe I've missed a step. He didn't look himself in some moments in the fight. It looked like he couldn't get going the same way. And I think his peak career was during that Dan Hooker, Conor McGregor time, when he was slick and fast and nasty, and he was doing things like pointing at guys and moving out the way of shots. But in his past few fights of his career, things have gotten a lot more slugfesty against Benoit Saint-Denis and Makhachev. And I don't know, he lost a bit of that slickness to his step. So, I'm glad he retired, and I'm glad that it went the way it did, and I'm glad that Holloway didn't brutalize him at the end of the fifth, because we didn't need another Gaethje moment there to retire Poirier. So it was good. It was an overall consensus good moment for Poirier. I enjoyed the event. Yeah, and I think, and I also think, I'm gonna go back to giving more context to my up and down a career. When you look at a guy like Uriah Faber, right? Yeah, great career. Never became a world champion in the UFC. Was a WEC champion, but once again, he had an up and down career. He was beating good guys. He beat Michael McDonald, Mayday, another vicious guy at 135. But when he would get right to that top, right to the tippy top, fight Dominic Cruz, he'll come up short. When he fought Peter Yan, come up short. It's an up and down career. It's not. I'm basically looking at the facts, right? It's like you won this one, then you lost. And I can understand if it was a split decision loss, but when you get knocked the fuck out and when you're going to finish, that is like the ultimate, you got finished. That's how we think it. And when I train in mixed martial arts, right? I've only got finished once. I made a mistake, got knocked the fuck out. Other than that,
the second fight when I fought Henry Cejudo, a lot of people thought I won that fight. So, and yes, I did have some downs in my career, but they were mostly up. So when I look at somebody's career, if I was to show my son somebody's career on paper, not watch his fights, like, hey, what do you think about this gentleman's career? He will look at it and goes, okay, he's got some good fights in there. He's lost a couple. Oh, the very end of his career, it was up. Oh, he won, lost. He got, my son does jiu-jitsu. He got finished. He understands that. He'd be like, yeah, I'll say he had ups and downs in his career. But that doesn't take away the special things he's been able to do in his career. And to, we're all going to miss Dustin, right? Like, I just think people look at what I say and look at like the negative things instead of looking at like, yeah, DJ's right. He did have an up and down career, but he made a lot of fucking money. I mean, look at Conor McGregor's career. He had up and down. He had more down. If I had, I don't know. I have to take a look. He had a
lot more down. I'm not sure. But yeah, I feel like Dustin Poirier. You would look at his career, and I'd like to think that if you showed your son Dustin Poirier's career, he would
not the fights on paper. Just
if he just looked at the statistics. Yeah, exactly. If he just looked at it on the UFC stats, and looked at Poirier's career, Tapology, whatever he wants to go on, and he looks at it, and I'd like to think immediately you would think, oh, this guy had a lot of losses, up and down, win one, lose one. Yeah. But then I'd also like to think, and here's where the different level of context comes into Poirier's career. I also like to think that if your son watched through Poirier's entire fight history,
he'd be like, this guy's a fucking banger.
He would leave it thinking this guy's the coolest dude ever.
Yeah, 1,000%.
That's what Poirier was.
Yes.
This guy's one of the coolest dudes ever. He had some of the best fights. There's certain fighters that they're on a card and it's going to be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And Poirier's forever been that guy. So yeah, I do think that people critique you a bit too hard for the up and down.
That's okay.
It was one, and there's the thing, you did a whole stream for like however many hours.
3 hours.
And there's like, and that was like what, a minute long clip. I'm sure you sung a lot of praises for Poirier in moments, but hey, I get it.
Yeah.
That's how it's going to be.
Well, let's talk about Max. Max calling out Ilia Topuria. Right. It's funny. I was in Vegas and Max's manager there, and there's like, man, after Max beats Dustin, this is before the fight happened, Max should get an immediate title shot at lightweight. And I said, that's fucking stupid. He goes, what are you talking about? I was like, hey, I love Max. Max is my boy. But at the end of the day, let's just not jump the fucking cards. Like, you have Arman Tsarukyan, you have guys at lightweight that haven't got the opportunity to fight for the belt yet. And I think, great fight between Max and Dustin, right? Got his first amazing fight. Defended the BMF belt. I didn't know you could defend that thing, by the way. But he defends the belt. Now he wants to fight Ilia Topuria. I would like to see Max fight one more guy at lightweight. Fight fucking Paddy Pimblett. That's a fucking banger fight. Woo! I just thought that went up. That's a great fucking fight. Amazing fight, right? He gets in there, fights Paddy Pimblett. And here's the thing. If he beats Paddy Pimblett, Pimblett can go back down the list, work his way back up. And then you have Arman versus Ilia Topuria. They fight. And then if whoever beats between Paddy and Max, the winner of that fights the winner of Arman Tsarukyan versus Ilia Topuria. That's what I think needs to happen. We need to stop allowing, just because we have a great fight, dictate, you get a title shot. Like that drama is going to be there regardless, right? The history is going to be there, but let's try to put some ranking into some context and give people the opportunity, whether they're number one contender, the opportunity to fight for the belt.
Well, apparently Dana White said at the post-fight press conference that they are, Max, he didn't completely close out the idea of Max Holloway getting a title shot. He was singing, he's a BMF champ, he's number 4 ranked in a division. He looked good tonight. I'm pretty sure Dana must have said that at some point. He said anything is possible for Max right now. And I have to agree with you. No title shot. Yeah. 1 fight win streak, title shot culture needs to stop in the UFC. I'm really sick of it, man. I just saw him get KO'd by Ilia. Yeah. And it's almost a disservice to Ilia Topuria to like not let him get fresh names on his resume.
Yep.
You see a lot of these times, Usman gets a lot of criticism for his title defenses because people say, he fought Masvidal twice and it kind of doesn't make any sense for him to. Yeah. Oh, no, he shouldn't have really fought Covington twice. And you see a lot of these like championship runs, people's critique of them is, but he just fought the same guys twice. He did nothing but fight the same guys twice. And at least in Usman's case, there was competitiveness in the Covington first fight, and there was, a bit of a what's it called? It was a bit of a null performance in the first Masvidal fight. So there were reasons to maybe want to run those back and get them clear. But for Max Holloway, I don't think he's earned it. I think Ilia Topuria has moved past it. And I think Max Holloway, you mentioned the Paddy Pimblett fight. And I think that's a really good matchup. But I think schedule-wise, I think you can speed things. I want to see Armand Sarukian versus Pimblett.
Ooh.
That's what I want to see. So what I really don't want to see more than anything is Armand Sarukian, who's been out since February of 2024, I believe. Maybe April of 2024, I believe. When he fought Charles Oliveira. I don't want to see these guys, him and Gaethje, who have sat out, get rewarded for that behavior.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I feel like that sets a bad standard as well. So in an ideal world for me, I love the Holloway versus Pimblett fight. I think that would be just in terms of seeing them both on a poster and like the selling point of both their names against each other. That's huge.
That's a main event. That's a main event.
That's huge. They could do that. But I think what would be better for the division is schedule-wise, get Pimblett right in there in October against Armand Sarukian. Do Justin Gaethje versus Dan Hooker in November. And then that leaves us a Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira for the December pay-per-view card at the end of the year, which gives Max Holloway some time with his family in the summer and some time to recover from this 5-rounder. And it also gives Oliveira some time to recover from a KO loss. And I think if we're going to do this BMF thing, we can talk about this fucking BMF belt. I've got feelings about it. I've got big feelings about the BMF belt. But if we're going to do this BMF thing, you got to think about who would you want fighting for it. Does Pimblett deserve to fight for a BMF belt, or does Oliveira?
I think Oliveira.
Oliveira, Holloway. If they're going to put this silly WWE shit BMF belt on the line, they should do Oliveira versus Holloway, in my opinion, in December. What do you think about the BMF belt, DJ, in general?
Oh, man.
What's your take on it?
It's very...
Do you want it in the sport? Do you want it out?
You know, it's very hard. I think it has some WWE, esque about it because, when you look at like the baddest motherfucker, right? And I agree. I do believe like Jorge Masvidal, he won it. I can't remember who was after that, who won it. And then Max Holloway got it. You had Justin Gaethje. You have like the guys who go about their fights by knocking their opponents out. And like for me, I always laugh. Like you look at Dan Hooker versus Islam Makhachev. He was like, it was an easy fight. I just took it down past his guard and submitted him. And I'm like, that's how it should be. And where it's like, if you have a guy who's like, okay, I'm going to fight you. We're not going to stand and bang. I'm not going to do all this back and forth. When Max and Dustin were fighting and when he dropped him and he had his back, I think to myself, I was like, dude, put your hooks in, cross face, just do jiu-jitsu. Just, you stop fighting and you go, okay, I'm going to chokes him out. Boom, done. No damage, no concussions, none of that bullshit. Is he still a bad motherfucker? Right? If he's able to go out there, just boom. It's like I said, if it was Charles Oliveira, if Charles Oliveira would have dropped Dustin and he went down and got his back, it would have been over. Charles would have got to. So it's like I have this conflicted thing where it's like, what is a bad motherfucker? Right? Like, we go to war. Does that consider you a bad motherfucker? Or it's like, I'm not going to take any chances. When I get your back, you're going to sleep. Like, I never forget when I fought Chris Carriazo, I dropped him. And then the second round, he slipped. Once he slipped, I didn't go, get back up. I was like, nope, passing your guard. Oh, come here, done. Right? So I'm conflicted because what defines a bad motherfucker? Someone who's going to stand and bang and get fight in the night? I don't know, right? For me, I think a bad motherfucker is like, if you get my back or if I make a mistake, it's curtains. There isn't going to be an opportunity to get back in the fight and be able to knock you out. So I don't know.
Yeah. Perfect example of this is, I think Chimaev is a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
And he ain't flatlining KO. He ain't looking to school people on the feet or duke it out with them in the pocket. Like, he's going out there to smash. Like, take you down, ragdoll you, submit you. That's some BMF shit.
Yeah.
So I think he's a great example of that. Like, you don't have to be a slugger to be a BMF or a bad motherfucker in general, but apparently for this belt, you do have to be some kind of slugger. I don't like it though, because when I was watching it and it's Poirier's retirement, it really hit me how much I didn't like it. At first, I was going into this thinking, it's silly. It's an excuse to have a title on the top of a pay-per-view when they didn't have a title on this pay-per-view. Or whenever you see a BMF belt, it's always on a conveniently makeshift on short notice type card. You know, when it was first brought about for 244, there was no title fight. It was Masvidal versus Diaz. And then you had, Holloway versus Gaethje on UFC 300, where they didn't know if they were going to have a good main event yet. They eventually got Pereira versus Hill. So it's very convenient for the UFC to just sort of like shit together in a way, like just do that. But when Holloway's hand was raised after this fight and it said, and still.
Yeah.
And I know he just got knocked out in his last fight.
Yeah.
And still. And I'm like, what? it immediately, that's when it hit me as like, this is fucking silly.
Yeah.
This is a silly thing. If the BMF belt was lineal, where when I hear and still, I'm like, yeah, he's been defending that motherfucker for the past 3 fights, then I'd get it. But like, if the BMF belt was lineal, I mean, how did Usman not get it off of Masvidal? I know the first fight was boring, but in the second fight, he knocked him the fuck out.
Yeah, that's true.
No BMF belt exchange.
Yeah.
How much clearer do you need to win the BMF belt by? Fair enough, he didn't get it when he held him against the cage for 5 rounds. But like, if he knocked him out cold, there's no... And then Leon Edwards knocked Usman out cold with a head kick.
Uh-oh.
No BMF belt exchange.
Oh, shit.
And then Bilal Muhammad, I'd like to say he knocked out someone, but he like sort of dull, very boringly decisioned Leon Edwards. And, you know, maybe not a BMF belt exchange, but if there was a lineal BMF championship, it'd be Jack Della Maddalena's. And if there was a lineal BMF championship for these lower divisions where Holloway has won it and Gaethje has won it, it'd be Ilia Topuria.
Yeah.
They're really cool guys to have the BMF belt. And if you look at the way the things are structured right now, you could have Makhachev up at 170 fighting for the lineal, and then Topuria's got one over his shoulder after beating Max. So I'd only understand it, and I'd still find it silly if they followed some kind of like structure to it. I don't like this shit like, oh, you knocked me out, but it doesn't count because I didn't put the BMF belt up on the line for this fight. Like, that's silly to me, and it's an excuse to get some of these big names at lightweight on top of pay-per-views without titles being on the line. But I thought overall it was good. I'm trying not to be too negative.
No,
about it,
I think you just fucking broke that down, because I never thought about that, right? Like, what weight class is the BMF belt in? Like, what classifies, like, it's the 155, 145? Because you do have some substance that Ilia Topuria just knocked out Max, and I was like, shouldn't he be the baddest motherfucker? And then you took it way back with Jorge and Kamaru Usman, and then Usman.
I went to the history. You went to the histories of the BMF lineage. Yeah.
So it's like, what? But once again, the UFC gets to dictate, like you said, we're gonna this is for the BMF belt. Oh, no, this is so it is something where it's like cookie cutter. This one's for the BMF belt. Where, like you said, now it should be JDM who should be the champion, but we don't know. They can should probably know they can make him a belt, and not credit for you, but if they're gonna do it this way, I think Joshua Van should be the BMF, because the way he fights, he's just going out like a battle fire, just pop, pop, pop. He's getting hit. He's throwing hits. He's throwing beautiful combinations. I mean, there's so many ways. So I can see why you don't like the belt. And now that you're bringing that up, I don't like it either, because it doesn't make it doesn't make sense. Like,
I've brainwashed you, like DC said. I'm changing your opinions on everything. I don't know if you want to bring up the DC thing, but
dude,
I'm just brainwashing you here to think the BMF belt is stupid. You really think that, DC or DJ? You really think that,
dude?
This new guy, you thinking that?
If you're coming from Caucasus, meaning like Dagestan, Georgia, the wrestling is better.
I can't agree with that, man.
Really,
man, you're going crazy. You let this dude convince you that?
This new guy, you thinking that?
I think. We can talk about a DC thing. I think what you said is we go all over the fucking place. That's what we do.
Go now. Yeah, let's go now. Fuck it. Leaving stuff till later. Go on.
Even though I butchered what you said about from Caucasus and all that stuff, the wrestling, if it's pure wrestling, I think it can go either both ways. It can go. It's always up and down, like we were talking about, right? But when it comes to mixed martial arts, right? It's a sheer fact that Sambo or whatever, it's a national sport. My kids are playing fucking video games right now and jumping on a trampoline. I'm sure when Khabib, Islam, Umar Nurmagomedov, Muhammad Mokaev, they were doing karate, sambo at a young age, right? I didn't start wrestling until I was in fucking 8th grade. Like, imagine if I would have started when I was fucking 5 years old doing sambo, right? And I become a sambo world champion. Ali Bakatina. I mean, the list just goes on. There are better suited for mixed martial arts than your American wrestling. It's just a sheer fucking fact. It is what it is. We're not talking about, USA wrestling. We're not talking about that. We're talking about when it comes to mixed martial arts, I'd rather have my kids spend 2 to 5 years in Dagestan than do American wrestling. That's just
Then do 2 to 3 years in Ohio. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a much better thing. There's a reason why that saying exists, right? That saying wouldn't be the culture.
Yeah.
If it wasn't true. Like, that definitely does lead to some improvements. But yeah, I agree with you about the DC thing. I just think DC is, there's a big rivalry between US and Russian wrestling. So he's got that old head stance of, no, they ain't better than us. We got another list of guys. Send them the next few guys to go over there at the Olympics. So they're in a constant battle between Russia and the USA when it comes to that wrestling thing. So he's a bit of an old head about it. But I think it's way better suited for mixed martial arts in general. And that was my take. I think, when they start at 5 years old, not only does it give them an advantage to start that young, but it also gives them a large gap of time to have a foundation in something and still pursue a switch. So they could have a foundation from 5 to 10 in some kind of grappling form. And then at 10, they could go, I kind of feel like being an MMA fighter. I'll use this. Whereas there's not as much of a gap for you to make that decision when you pick up something as a teenager and you're just kind of getting into it. You're not immediately thinking, now I'll be an MMA fighter. Like it's a lot. And if you do, you're not as prepared. You just don't have that sort of backlog of hundreds of hours and thousands of hours of doing drills on things. And I almost feel like if you do something from a young enough age, like maybe even before puberty starts, your body kind of molds you to being good at it in a weird way, right? Your body knows so this is the life we're setting up for. All right, when I go through puberty, I'm going to make sure this dude's set up for this kind of life. You know what I mean? If this is what we're going to be doing all day. I feel like people almost mold. When you do something young enough, you almost start noticing it with the builds of some of these guys, with Makhachev and his back and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, dude, that's from years. Like he's told his body he needs a crazy strong back for years. Because of all the workload he's been doing. So yeah, I think it's a correct take, but obviously DC.
Well, it's funny.
He's stuck in the past.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because lately, now that I grapple in the gi, you grapple blue belts, black belts, brown belts, purple belts from all different ages. And I was in Florida and I was grappling a blue belt and I was like, holy shit, you're really good. And he was 16 years old. I'm like, how long have you been grappling for? He was like, since I'm 5 years old. I'm like, you have more time grappling in the gi than I do. And I'm like, you're fucking good. And people are like, oh, a blue belt shouldn't give a black belt a problem. I was like, the guy's been grappling since he's 5 years old in the fucking gi. Like, what do you think he's 16 now. He's just starting to hit puberty. He's got a big back. His core is like thick. It's like all those years of grappling, if he ever wants to be like, okay, I'm gonna go do mixed martial arts, he's gonna have a harder time. He won't have a hard time, but he's gonna be so much further ahead than just doing wrestling. Spinning the ears, triangling, getting out of the triangle, arm barring, taking people's backs, choking them. It's just a 90-day difference. So you're starting to see it not a lot more. And Michael, before we jumped on it, he goes, man, I'm kind of sad because I don't think there's going to be athletes who can replace guys like Dustin and Max Holloway. And I said, I think you're right because times are different. People who train mixed martial arts now, they are looking to see what's meta. And what meta is being completely well-rounded. When Dustin and Max, when they got into it, even though Dustin, he kind of grew up like doing kickboxing and Muay Thai. I remember we had him on the Mighty Cast. He says like, hey, one weekend, one round's this, other round's this, et cetera, et cetera. When Dustin was coming up, he was working construction. I don't think he was working construction. He was working, but he went down the road of like, I am trying to make it in this sport. Like, I'm going to give it my all. Where now you see guys, hey, I'm going to start training at, 12 years old. My mom's going to pay for kickboxing. My mom's going to pay for it. It's just, people are going to be more intelligent. You're going to have more guys like Topuria who are going to be well-rounded, who aren't going to slug, and who are going to move and navigate the fight a lot easier. I just think the times are different where mixed martial arts is more mainstream than it was back in the day.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Guys are going to be way more well-rounded now. And that's also a thing about US wrestling is you almost have to commit to it in a way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like it takes you into your late teenage years, into your early adulthood. So where these Dagestani guys, and when DC was telling me I was wrong, he actually proved my point by saying this. He said, when you're young in Dagestan, they point you out like, oh, this guy's showing promise in this. He's showing promise in that. We're not going to keep him in this. We're going to shift him off to Sambo. We'll shift these guys off to Greco-Roman. We'll shift these guys off to freestyle. Whatever it is they're going to do, they choose it for them. Whereas in the US system, because it's along with the school.
Yep.
You kind of get stuck. Whereas if you're in education, you're doing this style. Like you're not going to start trying to judo move in the middle of a US wrestling match that's very important to you. So they get sort of like held in this world where they get stuck in their ways and they don't sort of like, I don't know. Obviously it's different, but they almost get stuck in their ways more than the other guys who are a bit more like able to adjust and do different things and get the back and hip toss a little bit easier. And I just think it's more well-rounded. And to the point of, starting younger makes it better. And you said that blue belt in your gym was so good.
Yeah.
I think language is the best example of proof of this. You know English.
Mm-hmm.
You know it like the back of your hand. You don't even have to think about English.
Yep.
Because you were born and you were learning English as a child. And as your brain was forming, you were picking up English as a language. Try and pick up a language at 15, 18, 10. Very, very difficult in comparison. It's because it's not ingrained into you.
Yep.
You're learning it while your brain is forming and it's just becoming second nature to you. So that's what you see a lot of the times with these types of grapplers from over there. Everything seems second nature to them. There's no foreign position that they're in. They've seen it all before. Whereas a wrestler, someone might get his back and he might go, oh,
what do I do?
yeah, what am I doing? What am I doing here, dude?
Oh,
and all of a sudden, Reina Dorita's giving him some discomfort up against the cage, and it's time to, hover over a little bit. So, but yeah, that's the DC stuff covered, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
anything else on the card this weekend? Let's get back to the 318.
Yeah.
I guess we got a lot of the rest of the card to break down.
Yeah. I think I loved the co-main event. Kopylov taking on Costa. I think the old Costa showed up. I think the eraser showed up. That's the one where I felt he was a boogeyman. Because at one point in time, he was a boogeyman in that division. When he fought Johnny Hendricks, the Yoel Romero fight, and then he kind of, Izzy took care of him. And it was almost like you didn't know which one's going to show up, right? But the Costa that showed up against Kopylov is a dangerous one. Like, I hope that version of Paulo Costa shows up, and he's 34, so he's got maybe 3 or 4 more good years. So it's almost like, dude, whatever it is you need to do to get to this form, you need to do it every single fucking time. Every single time you need to show up this version because, who knows if you're going to be able to get on a good run like that. And he took out a very dangerous Kopylov who's been murking, starching people up to that point. Yeah. And I felt Costa was just way too fast, way too athletic, and just putting some combinations together and just fighting. Just actually showing up and fighting.
Just fighting. That's what it was. It's almost like he's lost so many times you don't even care anymore.
Yeah.
Once he lost once, he was like, God, I've got to win this next one to get back on track. I think Costa had this mindset of like, fuck it. If Costa lost, there would be arguments like, okay, he's out the rankings now. He hasn't won a fight since 2019, 2020, however long it's been.
Yep.
And there would be narratives of like, do we get rid of Costa? Do we send him to a different organization? Like, do we leave him out of his contract? So I think Costa just didn't give a fuck this time. And also when it comes to you saying, I don't know what he was, what did you say at the start? What did he take to be this way? Not take.
Well, what
something like that.
What did he have to do to get back to the old form of him being like the boogeyman? Because that last fight when he fought Sean Strickland, it was like, what the fuck? All that muscle, all that technique, all that athleticism, it was almost like I think you hit it. He was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't care. It was like, if he would have fought Sean Strickland the way he fought Kopylov, he probably would have flatlined Sean Strickland. I don't give a fuck.
He probably would have cracked his ribs with one of them body kicks.
Yeah.
Like it was a nasty performance. And that's what you said. What did he do to get back to that form of himself? By the fucking looks of things, drugs. I don't know if you saw him at the fucking press conference.
He was like,
well, the crowd, they give me energy, they give me big energy for fight. And he was like stimming up at the fucking thing. So whatever Costa's been sniffing, I don't know if he's made it into McGregor's stash, but he needs to, do it again because he looked really good. And Kopylov was a guy where I got a lot of shit. You got a lot of fights wrong on the main card. There were a lot of upsets on the main card because perceivably from the outside, Kopylov's on the come up.
Yep.
He hasn't taken as much damage. He's very, very technical. You give him some space, he can really work some like fast and devastatingly accurate shots. But Costa, and this was the example of why this works so much in heavier weight classes, leading the dance works so well in heavier weight classes when you're more powerful and guys aren't as game plan heavy. you can't have a guy the size of Paulo Costa ripping body shots and body kicks on you. I mean, you said Poirier was saying that Holloway's body kick was really causing him problems. Kopylov's probably shitting blood right now after this fight. I would imagine
1,000%.
1,000% pissing blood backstage. And in the fight, I was like, why is Kopylov not throwing back as much? He's really like not being offensive. And that was for the first few minutes where he genuinely wasn't throwing much back because he was so timid after Costa was just fucking ripping heavy blows at him. But then as the fight went on, I kept asking, like, when is Kopylov going to get going? Like, when is he going to push back? And I realized the guy's probably got a few broken ribs. His forearms are probably dead. Costa just got such a lead on him, and he led the dance so well and so strong from the get-go. You can't give a guy that much time to rip shots on you, or you're just a different version of you compared to a fresh, dangerous, undamaged version of Costa. So I just think Kopylov let it get too far ahead, and that was the reason for the dominance of this fight. Is just once Costa gets going and he's feeling himself again, you know, you could see it on his face after round one. He was like,
I'm here.
He's kind of slick again. You know, it was like, oh, wow, Costa's back. Like some confidence is in him here. And after the Adesanya loss, I think it was so humiliating that it kind of shook that confidence, that mojo from him a little bit. But this one, Costa's fucking back. I haven't seen him throw kicks like that in 5 years.
Yeah.
Really, really good to see him.
And I don't think people realize how fucking, like, I kicked Michael in the leg, not even hard. Imagine just taking a fucking body kick like that over and over and over. And he had Kopylov like flinching. And then once he showed the cross and went body up, I just think he beat the fuck out of Kopylov's body. And then anytime he would show and do something, he just like, he would freeze. And I hope this version is back. Like, I hope whoever he fights next, whether he gets the opportunity to fight, you know, I don't think he's going to fight Hamzat next, but whoever it is he fights,
maybe
RDR.
If he loses to DDP, it's an option for him to fight Chimaev. If Chimaev loses to Duplessis, they could run that fight.
Yep. Or RDR versus Costa. That'd be great.
RDR Whitaker's next weekend. So if he wins that one, there's a Costa. So Costa's going to play the role. He's in like a Jared Cannonier position of the middleweight division right now, where they're not going to rally behind him as the guy.
Yep.
But if they notice any other of the guys coming up, they're going to say, Costa's right there. He can be used to get this guy up the rankings or used to maybe get a rebound for this opponent. So, yeah, who knows what's next for Costa, but he's in a really good position snapping that loss because Kopylov was ranked. He was on a win streak. He was looking pretty good. So, yeah, it was a real – this whole card, though, if you want to get through the rest of the card, was a Jarl must have forgot type of card. Like so many of it was the night of the young. You know, if you really think about it, Usyk had a great performance at 38 years old against Dubois. We can maybe chat about that.
I saw that. He knocked him out.
Oh, such an amazing performance. But then you also had Manny Pacquiao coming back at fucking however old to fight for a title.
46 years old, I believe it was. 46?
46 years old. And apparently he got robbed and it was like a draw and he arguably should have won.
That's the problem with boxing.
And then this whole card, you had Daniel Rodriguez putting mitts, like really sloppy mitts on Kevin Holland, and maybe we can segue right into that one. But you also had Michael Johnson pulling off the upset. You had Pitbull getting it done after he looked like he didn't really have much still going in his career. So it really was the night of the young yesterday. We can talk about Holland versus Rodriguez if you want to get into it.
Let's do that one. I was very shocked what Rodriguez did to Holland because I felt when Kevin Holland is his best is when he's having fun. When he's out there, he's laughing, he's slapping, he's talking to his opponents, he's just doing wild shit. But sometimes that's what makes him so great. You look when he fought, what's the gentleman's name? He knocked him out, Jacare. He's talking to him. When he's getting out wrestled, he's talking to DC and Habib. You know, when he fought Lucent, how do you say the last name? The guy he just Darkman choked him. His last
Vicente Luque.
Yeah, Vicente Luque. He was kind of talking, playing, and got that choke. I feel that's what Kevin Holland is his best, is when he's having a good time, he's just laughing. But you saw him when he fought Rodriguez, he was locked in. And I felt like he was just too locked in instead of getting back to like, I'm a guy who has fun out there. But the exchanges back and forth, but he almost had that fucking darce when he wrestled up. But Rodriguez, he came, I haven't seen much of his fights. He came out there and like you said, he was throwing sloppy mitts, hands down, coming, just taking it to Kevin Holland. I felt Kevin Holland just couldn't get his mojo going. Like, I like him at 170 because he's not getting overpowered by bigger people. But I felt like he just couldn't get anything going. And, you know, Rodriguez just fucking took it to him. Like I said, they're fighting over the last slice of cornbread in the yard right now. This is what's going on. They got to figure out who's going to get the cornbread, and Rodriguez went home with that buttery cornbread.
Yeah, and they're both blindfolded by the looks of things as well. I don't know if you saw some of the shots they were exchanging. It was one of those things where Holland is good, and he is good when it almost doesn't matter. But almost like this one, it was like, oh, if he wins this one, he'll actually be in contention. Because if Holland wins this, it's, you know, immediately I'm making a video saying every fight to make next, I need Holland versus Buckley too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's big ranked opponents for Holland next if he wins this one. So maybe that comes into it with Holland some way, but I just don't think he looked as crisp or as clean, and he almost didn't take risks. D-Rod's charging in, looking at the ground, real Juliana Pena level stuff, like looking at the ground, swinging from his hips. And it was just, I feel like Holland needed more risk. Like he needed to risk clashing with D-Rod more. He kept backing up in a straight line. And when D-Rod's pushing forward in a straight line, eventually he wins. Yeah. If you go back in a straight line in MMA, there is a cage. You will lose that exchange of movement eventually, because the guy is he's gonna have more time to go forward than you are to go backwards. It's as simple as that. So when Holland's backing up and keeping his guard up, D-Rod can just swing these shots. And if he's got nothing to walk into, like an elbow from Holland or a big knee up the middle, or as a taller guy, you would think Holland would maybe utilize some of this stuff as D-Rod's crashing in. If he ain't got none of that to worry about, he can just keep swinging. And eventually he's going to be stuck on the cage, and eventually you're going to get caught. This fight was wild, though, because how did Holland survive round 2? Yeah. And then how did D-Rod survive round 3? Like, you know, you can take it away on some of those finishing sequences if you want, dude.
The grappling exchanges was probably my favorite part about the fight, because, you know, Kevin Holland is very successful with locking up that DARS, the dark man choke, as he calls it, because people typically, everybody wrestles up. They wrestle up in mixed martial arts. And when you wrestle up, you're giving up your head and your arm, right? You're giving up that position. And then once he came up and he had it, and then he shook it off, I was like, fuck. And then they recreated that void again. And then Daniel Rodriguez went back to doing, putting the mitts on him. And then when Rodriguez got him, and then he almost had the fucking arm triangle choke, and he went over, and I was like, he's about to finish him. The sequence on the ground, that's why I love when I watch mixed martial arts, is that, okay, you're both on your feet standing, and then it goes to the ground. Who's going to be able to make the right transitions? Who's going to attack the legs? Who's going to pass guard? That's what I love about seeing. But each time they both try to get their sequence off of, even I think it was the third round, when Kevin Holland, he was trying to force him to wrestle up, to come up into him, but he didn't. And then he tried. That was probably my favorite part of the fight. It's just a sequence of trying to submit each other. And then fucking Daniel Rodriguez ends up on top, starts grounding and pounding. Like, that fight was... It was a fucking awesome fight. I loved it. Like, even though I lost on price picks on that one, because I had it less with 10 minutes, I enjoyed taking it out.
I had it more. So I was nervous in the second round for Kevin Holland getting knocked down twice by D-Rod. Holland's chin's insane. Something about Holland is that his survivability while on the ground is really good. The way he moves when people are trying to ground and pound him. People don't realize there's a lot more that they can move while they're on the ground. You know, maybe it's a Holland thing. Maybe Holland's just so tall and rangy. He's got a lot of mobility in his upper half. You know, he's a long torsoed guy. So he's very good at defending ground and pound typically. But it was one of those fights in the second and third where you were like, oh, he's done. Oh, he's not done. Oh, he's got it. It's locked in. Oh, it's not locked in. And now he's on bottom. You know, it's one of those ones. And Holland in the third round, he had D-Rod so badly hurt in the third round where I really thought the ref was going to step in on 2 occasions there. And I thought the same about, the ref stepping in for D-Rod against Holland in the second round. But he was tuning up D-Rod against the cage. And there was a moment where, and this is how Holland fights. It's like, what are we doing here, Holland? 2 minutes of silliness is what's been going on. And then there's 30 seconds where you're like, he's the best. He's the cleanest dude you've ever seen. And he starts firing these shots at D-Rod with no telegraph against the cage. And then I think it came to a finishing moment. And he was I really think he wanted a knee to the face in the clinch.
I know. That jumping fucking knee, I was like, dog, you got to stop fucking jumping. Yeah. The spring in them legs, they gone. They gone, brother. You got to let it go.
And you got to imagine D-Rod at that point, he's not thinking, oh, I better not have this knee to the body. Like, he's like, don't get knocked out. So he's covering his face in the clinch. So Holland's like, tire clinch and jump kneeing into like the guard of D-Rod. And I'm like, dude, a jab finishes him here. He's that hurt. Just a simple jab. Couple feints at him, draw out a punch and crack him. But Holland just wanted that clinch, jump knee. And I think that kind of fumbled it for him because he hurt D-Rod. He went to the ground. He almost had the choke, rear naked on him. And he went off to the side with it, which sometimes can make it tighter, right? Sometimes it can make it tighter if you go off to the side.
It could.
We've seen a few guys do that. Yep. I know JDM did that with Randy Brown. And it's sort of like if you don't have hooks in the way you really want them to get that leverage, you kind of use the gravity to give you a bit more of a squeeze of like leaning off to the side of him. But then he lost that. And I thought, he could have taken Mount there.
Yep.
You've always got to think about what position you're in, in terms of the 50-50, like, now, Holland, if you would have let go of that choke attempt, you take Mount there and you win that third round dominantly and maybe finish with ground and pound. So that was a kind of a mistake from Holland at the end. But that was the whole fight. The whole fight was just, he's got it. He doesn't. He's finished him. He hasn't. So amazing fight between the two of them. D-Rod gets it. D-Rod's ranked. That's crazy.
Really?
Good for him.
Yeah.
He's going to be ranked after this, I imagine. So fucking good for him, dude. In his old age with that style, like he's found his way, dude. He's made it work. It's almost like a DDP type of thing.
Yeah.
But not as good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was a great fight. It was a great fucking fight. And I'm kind of curious to see what Kevin Holland does next. I'm pretty sure 2 weeks, we're going to see him matched up on fucking UFC 319. Yeah. He's like, I don't give a fuck. Because I think he maybe deep down inside, he wants to fight for world title. But I truly believe he thrives when it's just like, I'm fighting in 2 weeks. I want to be healthy. I'm going to go out there and have fun and get a fat ass check. But but
at 170, I don't know how often he can do that weight cut.
Ooh, yeah, that
where
is
it
true.
Isn't hindering him.
Well, hopefully he doesn't go up to 185. Hopefully he's like, fuck it. I lost my title contention at 170. Let's just go back to he might just be one of those athletes who I'm just like, hey, I'll take a fight whenever, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, if he's enjoying himself, fuck it, run it.
I say give Kevin Holland like a Jake Matthews, a welterweight prospect who's been around, lost some fights as well. He's coming off a big win over Chidina Chikwani. I bet they'll do like Kevin Holland versus Jake Matthews in Perth and get him to Australia. And Holland will probably think, yeah, this is cool. I get to go to Australia. Yep. Like, maybe that's how Holland should start thinking about things, where it's not just about showing up and fighting, but let's see what experiences I can get out of this if I'm going to be this active. And so I think that's the way I would match Holland up. But that was good. Other than that on the card, the prelims really showed out the main card here. Ige versus Pitbull. I don't know if you have anything to say about that one, or Johnson versus Zellhuber, any of those.
Yeah, I think I was very shocked by how Pitbull was able to, he's an interesting one for me because I felt like, he's so like he waits. And then I always tell people, Matt always tell me, if you're trying to hit somebody, you're not going to hit them. But if you start throwing, like, who we're talking about, somebody who just throws bullshit into, like, how Brandon just throws bullshit into the wind, and then you're hoping something's going to catch. You throw stuff in the wind, and you start moving with somebody, and then once they respond.
Royval.
You're
talking about Royval?
Yeah, Royval. Yeah. Once they respond in a certain way, then you can capitalize. Then you can actually hit them. But once, and I felt Dan Ige was, he was trying to land something, but Pitbull did a good job of having that high, tight guard and not really taking any damage. And then once Pitbull started wrestling Dan Ige, which Dan Ige typically has trouble when he starts grappling with people, that's where he was clearly getting way ahead on the in the fight with the grappling. And so I was shocked that he didn't go back to that in the third round. I mean, he kind of did, but Dan Ige was able to stuff it and cause, some grappling exchange. But just Pitbull's so very docile with his hands. He's very calm. And I'm just like, you got to let those hands go. That's when he was thriving, when he was in Bellator. I felt like he was throwing combinations, kicking, grappling more, where I feel like this was a better showing this time instead of his last appearance when he fought Yair. But I'd be curious to see what they do with him. And like, I always forget, that's 145. So he's fighting at 145. He's fought so many different weight classes in the past.
He doesn't look like a 45er.
He doesn't. He looks like a 35er, to be honest with you.
Because you look at some of the other guys in the division now, they're all tall. Yeah. They're all pretty lanky. They're like 5'10", 5'9". 5'8's kind of short for 145 now. So he does look a lot smaller. Him and Ige out there, I was like, these are two featherweights. They look like a couple of bantamweights out there, like stocky bantamweights. I've always thought Pitbull's style reminded me of like he's like a hesitant Cejudo.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
The way that he moves, loads up, he's like coiled up, but he doesn't let it go. Cejudo will like make stuff happen.
Yeah.
Like against Moraes, when it's not going his way, he'll force something to happen. You know, he'll force, he'll take the lead. Whereas Pitbull will wait until it comes to him. And that can cost him against Yair when it looks like, oh, you did 3 rounds of fucking nothing. When in his mind, he's like, I didn't see the moment where I could do something. But sometimes you got to force it. In this fight, Pitbull looked good. His grappling exchanges, I think, won him this. Of course, he hurt Ige in the second round. I gave Ige the third. I think I gave Pitbull the first and the second. But it was good grappling exchanges. It wasn't like he dominated Ige in the grappling.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't beat him up or like nearly submit him, but it was just like really cool looking grappling sequences that he had that like separated the fight. Like the first round was very close between them. And then Pitbull like had a really nasty sweep and back take.
Yep.
So you got to give him that because he had that for a bit. So yeah, I thought it was good from Pitbull. I will say this though, and this is another topic I wanted to get into with you. Do you know Eric Nicksick, the coach? You know Eric
Nicksick, yeah, he's the coach at Extreme Couture. Yes.
Yeah, he still does. I think he's a cool dude. I like Eric Nicksick. However, something the MMA community's been noticing, and maybe this is a conversation that we can have, something the MMA community's been noticing is that fighters that are at Nicksick's gym, if they go there from another gym in the first place, or if they spend enough time there, they become very sparring type fighters in the cage. When you look at Sean Strickland, or if you look at Dan Ige and what he's sort of become recently, and there's a couple of other examples people are going through. Even Ankalaev has kind of adopted a very playful sparring style, and he's been doing a lot of work at Extreme Couture.
Yeah.
They spar so much over there at that gym, right? That's kind of what they're known for.
Yep.
Chris Curtis does this as well now.
Yep.
Where he kind of ends up in a bit of a sparring match against his opponent. I almost wonder if they're sparring so much that it's not a big deal to them anymore. And it's so normal to them. Like I feel like they're desensitized to sparring.
Yeah.
And they end up carrying some of that mentality over into the cage, where I feel like in a lot of Nicksick fights, it seems like they're trained to do one thing. And then come the last round, Eric Nicksick is always in their face going, you got to let it go.
Yeah.
You got to push. You got to make a fight out of this. He always seems to be in that position. So I don't know.
I think, so there's a couple things to that from my experience of training. And I think you shouldn't be sparring when you're not in camp. Right? There's just no point, right? Play sparring, yes, you're moving and you're trying to get your timing and all that stuff. But when you spar, you need to have three different types of sparring partners and training partners. People who are just as good as you, people that are A-okay, and the people who fucking suck, right? Because if you're always sparring people who are super fucking good, then you're never going to be able to work and see things. Right? But if you spar somebody who's just dog shit horrible, you don't beat the...
Everybody needs an Artem Lobov now and then, you know?
Yeah.
To just beat up on.
But Artem Lobov actually hit back really, really fucking hard, right? You don't want to fight those guys because you're going to have a brawling. But you need to have guys who just aren't good, where you hit him. Oh, he's hurt. Not hard. You don't want to hurt them. Like, it's like when Sean Strickland starts sparring all these YouTubers and all that stuff, the way he spars those guys is exactly the way he fights. You don't see any like, okay, here we go. Pop, 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 pop. Oh, there's a body shot. Oh, he's hurt now. Pat, pat, pat. Oh, you swept. Oh, boom. That's how you develop those skills. But if you're always sparring the same way how you fight, you're not going to be able to develop those skills where it's like, okay, I have to see, okay, perfect example. Dan Ige, when he's fighting Pitbull, he should have came out the corner and goes, hey, Pitbull has a high, tight guard. Show something. He's going to have a high guard. I want you to throw a leg kick. I need a response. I need him to respond because he's not worried about your hands. Okay, he kicks him, comes back to the third round. Okay, he's responding. You have to force him. So sometimes when you have this type of like, we're going to spar every single time when we train, we're sparring, you don't develop those skills where it's like, hey, high guard. Okay, oh, angle, boom, you go up the top. So, I mean, it could be just the way the gym is. I think Sean Strickland is a prime example like that. Like when you see him spar, you know, he can spar death sentence. He's probably going to spar death sentence the same way he's going to spar the way he fights. You know, I don't know. I think death might beat him, to be honest with you. As long as death doesn't give up.
Yeah. But in 6 seconds, straight away, just knocks him out.
But I think there's some context to that. I think Eric Nicksick is a great coach. I truly believe he is. I think there is something to be like, okay, we're sparring way too much, instead of like, okay, let's do technical play sparring. I don't want you guys going out there looking the same way as you did. We got to start developing and adding new tools. But once again, that's up to the athlete. It takes time. You have to do different things. But, you know, that's from my experience. But I think there's something to that, because when Curtis fights, it looks like he's just sparring. It looks like he's just, it's not like I'm trying. There is, but, you know. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's very it's Muay Thai-ish in a way. It's very playful, you know, where they you got me, now my turn type of thing. And I feel like Curtis could have done more against Griffin, and Strickland's had opponents he could have done more against, and Ige could have done more in this fight and his last one. And it's just a trend I noticed in the gym and amongst that gym, Extreme Couture, and they're always ready. This is the type of thing that can let Ige step up on the day's notice.
Because they're always training.
Diego Lopez. Because they're always training. They're always sparring. They're always somewhat switched on. And this can allow Strickland to step in and fight Adesanya on short notice and Imavov on short notice. So it works in some ways. I'm not saying it's like they're terrible and they're completely bad, but there's just like I think there's a negative side to it where you know, when you look at some of these other guys' training camps, O'Malley's sparring sessions in the build-up to the Merab rematch, I know he lost, and this isn't the perfect example, but his sparring sessions, they had the whole gym go quiet. The lights went. They made the sparring a big deal.
But I you know, to battle that, but that is more of a that is more of a mental thing, right? Because Henry does the same shit, like. Everybody, we're going to simulate the fight. I have my headgear on. Come on, Henry, let's go, baby. You get in the cage, he sits down. He what the fuck are you doing? Me personally, that is like psyching the mentality of getting himself ready for that, right? Where you look at Merab, he does do a lot of sparring. He does a lot of sparring when I talk to Aljo. But when he spars, he's dominating his sparring partners. He's constantly putting that pressure on him. He's constantly taking him down. He's constantly looking to finish. So when he steps into the fight, his buddy's like, we only know one way. The sparring is time to dominate. It's time to dominate. Yeah. The sparring is back and forth. It's I'm going to fucking smash you. That's the difference. But when you look at like, I'm not in O'Malley's camp, but if they're doing that simulation, that's all mental, right? Even Henry Cejudo, that's all mental. You can't have sparring sessions like that. Because when you do that, yes, you're preparing for the moment when you fight, but you're supposed to have like for me, when I would get ready, I would never spar in little MMA gloves. I would never do it. I would never spar with my shirt off, because I wanted to make it when I step inside the octagon of the ring, like
it's different.
It's fucking different. It's like I get to be fucking mean. I get to be nasty. Like I get to hurt you, and I know I'm gonna give it everything. If I break my hand, if I break my rib, if I break my fucking leg, they're gonna put me back together. So I'm gonna let it fucking fly. I feel so many athletes try to recreate that simulation. When they get in there, it's like, oh, I've already been here before. It has to be fucking different. In my opinion, it has to be different. So
it has to be unusual and scary and that would shock you into being so great. Aspinall speaks about this with how scared he is and nervous he is going into there. But I hear you. But maybe O'Malley example of the big show of the walkout stuff wasn't the best. But I think there's a healthy in between. I agree. Taking sparring very serious and the way that Extreme Couture, where I see Strickland like, come on, Chris, get your ass in here, Chris. And it's just like they cycle out these sparring partners. And you hear the stories of Strickland just going there to spar. Pretty much. And I just think it may be like, I don't know. There's like I feel like there needs to be a balance in between for some of those guys at Extreme Couture where, you know, they need to be less playful with it, less sparring heavy with it, you know?
I think
maybe make it more of a big deal in their training camp, just slightly. Not to the point of O'Malley, but you know.
I think a good example that we need to study if we ever get the opportunity to study is a guy like Ilia Topuria, right?
Yeah.
How he comes in there and he's playful, he's playful, he's getting to where he needs to, but once he gets where he needs to, it's like JDM, same person. He's playing, but once he gets you hurt, it's a fucking, you can see a switch that flips and it's bop, 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 bop. Same thing with Dustin Poirier. When he hurts, it's bop, 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 bop. It's just a different switch those guys have to where you do see the guys who play spar all the time. There isn't a fucking switch. There isn't like, that was a kill switch.
It's almost like you need to finish a couple guys in the gym to train finishing sequences, to train
that's true.
when to know when to put your fucking foot on the pedal. And as much as that might sound like a meathead take of like, oh, these guys are going to get CTE if they do stuff like that. You can see it when, and this is why I mentioned Lobov, even though, he is all right for his record. I mentioned Lobov because in the sparring between him and McGregor was just beating the shit out of him.
Yep.
And I think that's why McGregor's follow-ups to people being hurt was so good in his prime, is because he's practiced finishing Artem Lobov. Like he's done this finishing sequence, that he hit Mendez with. He's done the finishing sequence that he hit Brandao with up against the cage when he noticed he was hurt. And some of these other moments, I bet you he's finished people like he did Alvarez, where he posts up over him and throws a couple shots. And there's other fighters in the UFC where they hurt someone. Sometimes they're jiu-jitsu guys. Sometimes they're grapplers. They'll hurt someone on the feet and they'll go,
I've seen this before.
Or I haven't hurt anyone. I'll shoot. Sometimes they do that. You see a grappler hurt someone on the feet and go, double leg. I don't know. I don't normally finish guys. I'm not experienced.
No, you're right.
Getting these finishing sequences on the feet.
No, you're right. I think the more, like when I would get ready for my fights, Matt goes, finish him. I need you to see how many times you could finish him in the first round. And I would literally finish, whether it's a sequence of armbar, taking his back, or Kimuras. And then it's like, hey, Matt, like, hey, I just want you to work your hands. But I wouldn't do that against the best guy in the room. Right? Yeah. Maybe the first round would be, okay, you're going to go with the next best guy in the room. Then it's I have to use my technique and my IQ to get the finish. Then when I'm exhausted and worn out, he goes, okay, you're going to go with the guy who's not the mediocre guy. Then it's a little more, then it's like, you're going to go with the guy who's fucking the worst in the room. You're dead exhausted, but I want you to work your hands and boom, get that right shot, use the clench knee, off balance him. Okay, you're refreshed, go back to the best guy in the room. So you're constantly cycling through. So my mind is the finishing sequence, Adrian Rice. I hit him up. Oh, hey, we've been here before, baby. Here it comes. Yeah.
Time to hit that knee. Yeah.
So, all right.
And that's good for everyone in the gym.
I agree.
That's good to everyone. I know that sounds like everyone's just being fed to DJ to be finished by him in the gym. But what you just mentioned it towards the end there, when you're exhausted, the lesser guy comes in. And for him, he's getting like a diminished Demetrious Johnson to work with. So he can pick up some things and he can have some success that he wouldn't have if you were fresh and really going hard on him. So that's how it is, but I don't know. That's just how I felt about those fights. Michael Johnson won, pulled it off for another unk. Good one against Zellhuber. Zellhuber didn't adjust this fight. It was just boxing. Johnson was boxing with him, and Zellhuber was.
He did nothing with the body kicks and the high kicks. Nothing.
Yeah, he just kept kicking the arms, flippantly, and.
If it was Muay Thai,
it was a frustrating one.
If it was Muay Thai, he would have won that fight because in Muay Thai they score, boom, hey, they score that because technically those are hitting him. But if I block it, I just don't know how MMA scores that. That's the biggest thing. Yeah. So I think he was thinking that the judges were seeing the body kicks and the high kicks were going to score more than Johnson hitting him. But
yeah, I mean, I think even if they did see it that way, it probably wouldn't have been enough, but it would have made it closer maybe. I don't know, when someone is doing that, is Zellhuber another extreme couture guy?
I don't know.
Why do I feel like Daniel Zellhuber is another extreme couture fighter? Because if he's also doing this sparry, not really adjusting thing, he is another extreme couture guy.
Okay, well there you go.
Maybe that's why I was bringing it up on the card because it was 2 back-to-back from the same gym that were doing kind of sparry stuff. Yeah, I was waiting from Zellhuber to like throw the knee up the middle or an elbow as someone comes in. Like when you're a taller, rangier guy, come on, man, mix it up, make him run into something in the void. You know, if the shorter guy's coming to you and trying to cross the void, DJ, You got to give him something to fear.
Oh, yeah.
You can't have Johnson getting all happy with his hands and feeling like his young self again. Johnson was out there fucking feeling 12 years younger out there. You know what I mean? He had a flash back to the past. I bet you.
Yeah.
But Johnson, I don't know, you might have been seeing the whole thing in black and white. He was that far back in time in his career. Like he just felt like a young version of himself. You know?
Yeah.
But either way.
I truly think, I think you might be something on from that gym, Extreme Couture, how they spar. And it almost makes me want to like go there and be like, hey, run me through your guys' camp, what you guys do just to see. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he made adjustments and took advantage of those kicks. And Michael Johnson was able to thrive with those combinations. I mean, he's always had great combinations when he's able to get off, right? Never the best when it came to somebody try to grapple him. But
his wrestling has been decent, but his jiu-jitsu has been his letdown. Sometimes he'll give up a leg, a back taken, and his bread and butter has always been his hands. Yep. And your bread and butter is the last thing to leave you as you get older in this game, Yeah. You know what you know. You know your trick. Johnson's trick has been deceptively fast hands and combinations, and he worked it, dude. And Johnson can be looking at a ranked opponent next in 2025. So it's a crazy time now. Like we really have seen a resurgence of some of the guys that were fought going into this card to have been a bit washed up or maybe past their prime. So really good stuff from him.
Yeah. Other than that, I felt the main card's pretty good. There was one person in the prelims who really, the prelim was amazing. Jimmy Crute looked good. A lot of first round finish. Ryan Spann looked great. But the one who, looked really impressive. You said his name. I don't want to butcher it. Go ahead, say his name again.
Teba Gutierrez. I might be messing up the name myself, but he demolished Robert Valentin first round TKO, and I know you wanted to sing some praises for that, so I'll let you take the reins. Yeah,
his combination and his eyes on that fight were peak because when he hurt him, he just went full blown. You saw him take a step back, reestablish a void, come back in with a beautiful 1-1-2, looking for his shots. And like I was in the middle of doing something in the house and I stopped. I was like, the body mechanics, the eyes, the shots he was picking. I was like, that was impressive. I think the last time I saw something like that, and I was like, wow, he understands what he's doing. Granted, maybe the competition level wasn't the same, but the last time I saw something like that, I was like, was when Conor McGregor fought Diego Brandao, the way he was moving and picking those shots. And I was like, everybody's a good fight. People can fight, but it takes a good fighter to be able to see and do certain things. So he was probably the person who impressed me the most, where I was like, noted. I'm going to keep my eye on him when he fights again.
He did look good. He looked really good. They're calling him the middleweight Ngannou. I'm pretty sure he's from Cameroon as well. And he's got a similar build. So they're calling him the middleweight Ngannou. He's got a ton of first round finishes. And yeah, that's his thing. This was, if he wins, it's going to be fucking devastating. That's what he's proven so far in his career. It's going to be a first round finish. I think Valentin was, he was kind of, literally he was asking for it. I don't know how closely you were watching, but he was genuinely asking for it. Like normally when someone goes, bring it on, you're thinking, don't bring it on because he might catch you coming in. But no, Valentin was like, bring it on. I'm ready to be put away, Your Highness. And Teba Gutierrez obliged, very happily obliged. Combos against the cage were nasty. And again, you've got to take this into consideration. He's a middleweight, He's a bigger dude working the pocket like that, and he's working the pocket like a guy from a lower weight class. So very good pocket work from Teba Gutierrez. Good mechanics up against the cage where he was rotating into shots, get the full power out of them. That was a nasty win. Very nasty win. First round finish from him. The whole prelims showed up. Yeah. The whole prelims showed up for this card and outdid the main card. There was a bunch of really good fights. I don't know what other finishes there are to talk about. I guess we can go straight into I know Islam Dulatov is all the range now. You know this guy, Islam Dulatov, the model.
Yes. They say like, oh man, you have a lot of potential here. I was hoping he was going to say, yeah, but I make more money modeling. But he does. Does he
make more money modeling? Yeah. Apparently he just bought a second Lamborghini, this guy.
He ain't coming back to fighting. He'll keep on modeling and he'll be like, I'm not coming back to fucking fight. Fuck this noise.
He should maybe have the Kevin Holland approach, Yeah. Hey, if he can become champ, if he can go all the way and commit to it, then maybe he should. But yeah, he should be looking for fun ones, nice little KO. But he's very good. He's very good, Dulatov, and he won by KO in the first round. Another brutal finish. Really tidy hook that he landed on his opponent, Fujit. And other than that, in terms of big fights on the prelims, I mean, Bruno Ferreira with another submission. Bunch of submissions on the earlier part of the card with Krut and Span and Jadis. Carly Jadis looked really good. I thought she looked really good at striking. She kind of showed up a lot of the men's fighters on the card. I don't know if you saw Carly Jadis' fight on the early prelim opener.
I did not. I was coaching a football game.
Okay, fair play. You had other obligations, I understand. I was just saying. I was watching it back, and she looked really good. I didn't give her credit in my event recap, but she looked very technical. And women's flyweight is actually, they're getting good, and they're actually very visibly getting good. And they have a lot of decent prospects. If you look at women's flyweight right now, I'm saying this. You know,
I know that's why that's why I was like, huh,
sure.
okay.
So they got but the more I watch these men's fights in like middleweight and light heavyweight and heavyweight, and I look at women's flyweight, I'm like, these girls are pretty technical. Like Wang Kong is another prospect at women's flyweight, and they of course have Natalia Silva that's now made it to the top, and some other prospects along the way as well. Jasmine Jasudavicius looks pretty good. So I think women's flyweight is one of these divisions where they have quite a few decent fighters. I know Dakota Decheva recently re-signed with the PFL, where we've got our own version of you now in the UFC, and it's Carly Jadis. We don't need Dakota Decheva anymore. But yeah, she had a really good performance and a really good third round finish on the prelims. And other than that, the big fight on the prelims was Vettori versus Allen. Yeah, that was a big deal of a fight. I don't know if you what you thought about that one, DJ.
That was going back and forth. It felt like, Brendan Allen had Vettori hurt. Then Vettori came back and had him hurt. And I think the biggest scene going into that fight was like just what Vettori has gone through to get back, him losing his sibling. And
in a horrible way.
Yeah.
It's not, it wasn't just, it was a shocking, horrid. So yeah, you have to take that into consideration for Vettori here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you look for Vettori. He's been in the game for a long time. He's fought for a world title. He's fought Izzy Adesanya, and Brendan Allen cut him out there. That was going back and forth, right? So I felt there was obviously there was a loser, but when I watched the fight, I was like, man, that was a great fucking fight. Like, especially going into it, and then Brendan Allen said, I was gonna lose with my fucking brother in attendance, and I didn't feel right saying that. So I was more emotionally. Putting myself in his shoes, like coming out there and fighting. And there's times when he was hurt and you see him look at his corner, he goes, hey, I'm okay. Like, he's battling a lot more than just Brendan Allen out there, right? Like to get back in there and fight. Like, I remember when I lost my sister and I'm like, well, I guess we're in training camp. We're going to go into this fight. And so, but great fucking fight.
Kind of like maybe put it aside subconsciously and then it grows on you. In the fight camp, I feel like Marvin Vettori was carrying he had a lot of emotion going into that one, that's for sure. He's been out for a while, especially because, things aren't going sweet for him at the time. Yeah. It's not like he was a world championship. He was a world champion and he lost his brother and now he's back. Like, no, he's been on a losing streak. Like things haven't been good for Marvin for a while. But this fight to me between him and Brendan Allen was like I'm not going to critique it in terms of game plan. I have some critiques of Vettori's style a little bit, but I'm not going to critique the game plan because I know what they were trying to do. This was a personal fight for them. I don't know if you know, but they fought each other at a casino before.
I did not.
They did. They fought each other at a casino and they were talking shit to each other.
Yes.
And Marvin kind of brought him on and Allen went up to him and started swinging on him quite a lot.
Yes.
So there was bad blood here.
When you said casino, I thought you meant they fought as in the amateur days, but I was like, I remember there was a tussle between these guys in the casino. And it wasn't like they were close to each other to begin with. It was almost like words were exchanged and they got close and then they got separated, I believe. Yeah.
And Allen went straight to it. Allen marched across the casino and just started putting hands on him. And the fight kind of went similar. He marched across the cage. Let's call it what it is. The fight kind of went similar. He marched across the cage and put hands on Marvin Vettori. And I think the body kick was really nice for him. He was the one mixing it up. And that was the difference in this fight, I think, is that even though they both had similar success with the hands, in fact, I think Vettori had more success with the hands. Allen shot a takedown. Allen landed low kicks. Allen landed a body kick now and again. He landed an elbow now and again. And that's what really made him win this one. Whereas Marvin Vettori was more of a 1-2, 1-2, 1-1-2. That's kind of all Vettori does. Is his 1-2. Maybe it's his old trustworthy. his old faithful is his 1-2 to go to. But I think this fight was very obvious that he needs to reactivate those other parts of his striking, because he's kind of shelled up into this only a 1-2 guy. I was in the middle of the fight in round 2 going 1-1-2, and I was calling it before it happened. Like, he's going to throw a 1-1-2, and there it is. Now it's a 2-1 to throw you off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Death sentence style.
Yeah.
You know, 2-1. Like, I don't know. 1-2 is the easiest thing in the sport unless you're death sentence and you go for the 2-1 first.
Well, I think for him, that's an athlete who has to take the time to develop more skill sets in his toolbox, and going to the fight. Emotions are high. They've already fought in a casino, so it could be, and almost like when I was watching the fight, it almost looked like Vettori was just surviving. Right, like an autopilot, right? Like you said, 1-1-2, 1-2. I'm trying to catch my breath, because he was fucking battered and bloodied up in that fight, right? It wasn't like he was
nose broken very early.
Yeah, it wasn't like he was fresh. It was almost like survival mode, I guess you could say. We're usually when athletes go into survival mode, they go back to the very basics of like, I just got to throw 1-2, not a okay, pop, 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 and be able to react a certain way. But like I said before, when I watched it, it was a great fight, and it felt back and forth, but it felt like Vettori was on the losing end of that back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the fight. That's all there is to say about that one. Other than that, Phillips and Oliveira had a slobber knocker and started swinging at each other while exhausted. But that sums up the card.
What would you rate the card? We've been doing a consistent thing. What would you rate this card?
Overall ratings of the card? I thought it was good, and I think the prelims carried it. I think the prelims carried the card. I missed the very early prelims, but while I was getting ready for the stream, I was watching the other prelims that I missed, and there was a lot of finishes. And again, I saw her get a Teba Gutierrez at the corner of my eye. No, I didn't. I watched that one live. What did I see at the corner of my eye? Oh, like Ryan Spann, Jimmy Crute submission. Yep. So there was some good fights. And then the main event delivered in a way that was good. Co-main event I thought was quite fun. Holland Rodriguez was a fun scrap.
Yeah.
There was a few decisions in a row late on the prelims, early on the main card. But I'd say this was a 6.5, 6 out of 10. I think you know why this fight was costed is because the reason why this fight was costed a little bit, in my opinion, is because we just saw Usyk, and he is the peak, the pinnacle of his skill level.
Yeah.
And then I came over to MMA and I thought, what are they,
well,
these guys, this isn't the pinnacle.
I think in MMA, you have way more tools that can be thrown in there. But,
I know.
Usyk was able to he just keeps getting better and better. And the way he beats people, it's like, and he's not scared to exchange. He's not one of the heavyweights that's scared to, he's technical, but he's also untechnical, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
what would you rate the card though? And then we'll get straight into Usyk.
Honestly, I felt like it was an 8. I'm not gonna lie. I think I felt the finishes in the prelims, like with Jimmy Crute, Ryan Spann. I felt the back and forth fight with Kevin Holland and Rodriguez was fun to watch. Like I was laughing, having a good time. And then Costa, he showed up. It wasn't the last Costa showed up against Sean Strickland. And then the main event, I felt like it's a tearjerker to see Destiny not go out on a W. But I'm very happy for Max to be able to come out and get a good win after getting knocked out. So, I got to take some of your points. I have it at an 8, but I'll meet you halfway. I'll go to the 7. I go with a 7.
Okay, sure. I just think if there was a couple finishes on the main card, ended with a big bang and a nasty finish. Yeah. I know maybe it's not ideal for the Poirier fight, retirement, but I just need a few finishes on the main card to end things off nice and shocking for me. A big, you need some of those moments. So
okay.
That's what I thought it was missing, but a good card overall. Back to you talking about how great Usyk is, because you're going off there for a second. He is good.
Yeah. If you see the way even when he fought Tyson Fury, the punches he would hit with, he's the shorter guy. Essentially, because he's fought at middleweight before, I believe, too. I mean, he's fought all over the place. But the way he gets closer, he moves, a good southpaw. The way he hits punches, the way he hits this way, it's not a short, tight hook. But he's able to find a shot that lands and knocks people out. And I know him and Dubois have fought before in the past. But this time, it wasn't even fucking close. Like, he had him, like... when he had him breathing, looking at him like, and Usyk is probably the best heavyweight in in a very, very long time. Very, very long time.
Since I've been alive, maybe since you've been alive.
Yeah.
Usyk's he's probably the standout heavyweight of this era, I would say.
Yeah.
Above the Fury, the AJ, maybe the Klitschko.
I'm thinking like
I don't know how old you are compared.
I'm thinking like the Klitschko's. Like Klitschko's were pretty good. They were pretty big, athletic build, very technical, straight punches. But I would think as dynamicness, the way he moves, how he moves from round 1 to round 12, you know, even Mike Tyson didn't move like that his whole entire career where, you know, Usyk's older. It's not like he's fucking 28. Yeah, he's not 26, 27. He's moving like that at 30 years old from round 1 to round 12. Like when he fought Anthony Joshua, and Anthony Joshua goes, dude, like, you don't fucking stop moving. Like the first time they fought, he was like, I can't keep up. The second time they fought, he was like, okay, I got to have more volume. I got to move more. But he couldn't be consistent. And Usyk, once again, proves why he's one of the fucking best to ever do it.
It's nasty. And, you know, you mentioned Klitschko, and people always said that Klitschko had a really good jab for a heavyweight. And that was like his thing. Usyk has good everything for any division as a heavyweight. And it's insane to see because he's so good at his footwork and his movement and his timing. He shouldn't be at the weight class.
Yeah.
You can see it on his body. It shouldn't be carrying that much weight. I think he actually has some kind of condition from putting on this mass. I can't remember what it was to his body or something. I think GSP had a similar problem when he moved up to middleweight. Ulceritis or something. I don't know. I can't remember. I saw something on Twitter about that earlier. But he struggles to maintain that weight, basically. Like that's not natural for him. You know, he really has to force it to be at heavyweight.
Yeah, but he's also knocking people out at heavyweight.
I know.
With one-hitter quitters. It's not like, you know, obviously, I feel like his one-hitter quitters, so not like Deontay Wilder, where Deontay Wilder just touches you, you go fucking comatose, you wake up like The Undertaker. His is like the pace, the pressure, and then the combinations, and then when your body's exhausted, your mind's overwhelmed, it's overtaxed, he catches you, and it's like, you know, you're like, oh my, I just can't keep up. Yeah, I just can't keep
just
up.
Put me at, when Deontay Wilder KOs you, you're at 100 HP and you're feeling super powered. Like I'm going to take this guy out. Yeah. And then Wilder puts you to sleep. 100 to nothing, you know?
Yep.
Whereas Usyk, when he KOs you, I can almost see the red screen of death on his opponent's screen. Like I can hear the heartbeat going and he's on 1 HP. And then you can see Usyk finally put him away. Wilder KOs people when he was doing it, when he was actually KOing people.
Yep.
When they were like, I'm about to win. Yeah, I'm going to do this. And he flatlines them. When Usyk KOs people, it's almost like they're saying, just finish me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just put me out of my misery. Bellew, when he fought Tony Bellew and he left him against the ropes, even he spoke about that. He's like, dude, you're too much to figure out. Like you're overriding. I'm exhausted mentally before I am physically against you because you're making me faint so much and I'm biting on your feints. And I just think Usyk brought this skill to heavyweight that these guys, these big heavyweight, you know, sluggers weren't used to. They weren't used to that. They haven't been conditioned for that type of thing where I know Usyk had a lot of very close decisions at cruiserweight and some of the earlier fights in his career.
Yep. But you think about it.
Because they're more used to dealing with that level of skill. But at heavyweight,
they're not. They're not. And the one thing I will say that we have to appreciate from Usyk is how he's so willingly down to fight anybody, right? Typically in boxing, you look at how boxing is structured. You have the Ali Act where a fighter could be like, nah, I don't want to fight him. Okay, well, we're going to strip you of your belt since you don't want to, you know, defend that belt, right? How long does it take us to get a Gervonta Davis to fight, you know, maybe a Devin Haney, or, you know, a Ryan Garcia fighting somebody else, right? It takes fucking forever. But now when it comes to Usyk, you know, Usyk, he's the champion. Okay, your next title, person you have to defend against is Dubois. Perfect. Send me the contract. I will be ready. Yeah. You don't get that nowadays in boxing. You don't fucking get that. But when he fights, that's one thing I love about him is that, perfect, I'll fight him. If they have, I mean, right now you have Jack Paul about to fight, you know, Anthony Joshua from, you know, Turkey, Aleksandr. God, you know,
what a fucking disgrace. And you know he was in the cage with Usyk. You know how disrespectful that is. The guys become real. I'm being real here about boxing. You should be up in arms about this. Usyk has reached the pinnacle of the sport. He's become 3-time undisputed champion.
Yep.
He's done it at cruiserweight. He's done it twice at heavyweight now. Just beating Daniel Dubois in a rematch, the younger guy, and he's made it look easier against him and schooled him and destroyed him. that is the pinnacle of skill in boxing. That's the pinnacle of the fucking sport.
Yep.
Whatever fucking boxing promoter at that point in time, when they see Usyk with all his belts, thinking, what an image for the ages. This one's one for an era. You know what I mean? Like Usyk, the man of the era. Let's enjoy this moment. Whatever fucking boxing promoter immediately went to, let's get Jake Paul in there. Fucking get them out of that sport, dude. Jake, don't have the pinnacle of your sport and then go, let's get Jake Paul in the ring on this massive moment.
Yeah.
That is such a bad look for boxing. It reminded me of, you know, when they brought Brock Lesnar in the cage when DC beat Stipe?
Yeah.
And it was kind of silly. And it was kind of silly, but at least Brock Lesnar was a former UFC world champion.
Yeah.
You know? This was like bringing CM Punk in there against Ilya Topuria. That's the equivalent. Like instead of bringing in Pimlet, Joe Rogan goes, CM Punk, folks. CM Punk, get up in here, dude. We need to see this one. We need to see this one in the WWE because apparently Jake's calling him out for MMA.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's now an MMA call out. I think Usyk beats him in MMA because he did combat sambo when he was younger.
Yep. I agree too.
So fucking run the MMA fight and he'll fuck you up. He done Muay Thai as well. I like Usyk.
I think, you know, when the whole them and at the beginning of you know, when Jake Paul became into boxing, I wasn't the biggest fan because I don't like when athletes beat up older athletes that are retired, like Anderson Silva, Ben Askren, and Tyron Woodley. Those guys aren't boxers, so those count as a professional boxing win. And then, you know, I talked to somebody and they're like, that's how boxing is. Nobody fights the best. Everybody protects their record, right? There's another guy who's a young guy. He's out of Mayweather's camp. I think he's Carmelo Morton, I believe his name is.
Carmelo Moulton. Yeah.
I saw him fight live. Holy fuck. Like, he is good.
Very good.
But when I watched him fight live, the guy's like 19, 20 years old. He's beating up a 35, 36-year-old man. I'm like, okay, like, how much stock can I put? You know, I want to see him fight another 22, 23-year-old fucking good guy. But then the gentleman said, it was Irwani. Irwani goes, that's not how boxing works. Boxing, they pad their record to a certain point, then they get the opportunity to fight the bigger guy. Where in mixed martial arts, it's different. You know, right when I got into fucking WC, it was like, you're fighting Brad Pickett. I'm like, this is my only fourth fight. It don't fucking matter. So I had to take a step back and look at what Jake Paul's doing and not look at the guys he's fighting, but look what he's doing for the sport of boxing, like what he's done with Amanda Sereno, the paycheck he got Mike Tyson. You know, the biggest paycheck Mike Perry has ever gotten was from Jake Paul. So from that aspect, I'm like, okay, you know, I got to give Jake Paul some, you know, I got to give him some love for what he's done for the sport of boxing and how he kind of, you know, is a spokesperson for MMA guys to get paid more. But fuck, him fighting and stepping in there with, you know, like you said, the great, you know, with Turkey
Usyk.
and Usyk, it's like, okay, guys, like Jake Paul, he's done great for boxing, but let's not put him next to one of the best in the world. Let's not shine away from what Usyk has been able to do. And then, you know, if they do make this fight happen, Anthony Joshua versus, you know, it's funny he calls him
Paul.
well, it's funny he calls him Jack. Okay. Jake Paul, I can't wait to see it. Anthony Joshua should destroy him.
Fucking knock him out cold like he did in Garnu. I would imagine he would knock out Jake Paul.
Yeah. He should. He should. But hey, shout out to Jake Paul for saying, I'll fight him. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see, if you think you're the best, fight the fucking best, and let's run it.
Yeah. I mean, I consensusly agree with I think Jake Paul is impressive.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's an impressive man. Like, well, let me show. I think he's an impressive in terms of what he's done. Yeah, let me fucking change a few things because he is a bit annoying. But what was I going to say? Jake Paul is impressive when I just look at things as they are. Yeah. Like, okay, he's a young boxer. He's new to the game. What is he doing? Like, if someone told me I was training boxing for 3 years and I put hands on Mike Perry and TKO'd him, I'd be like, damn, you're a fucking badass. You knocked out Mike Perry in a boxing match. Mm-hmm. Like, if you didn't tell me anything else, no Jake Paul, no social media shit, no silly this, silly that, whatever other part of it there is. If someone was at a bar next to me and I looked over him and I said, oh, what'd you do? And he went, I box. I actually just knocked out Mike Perry. Mm-hmm. I'd look at him like, what? You just knocked out Mike. You're a fucking badass guy. So at a surface level, what Jake Paul's doing is impressive to me.
Yep.
But my whole thing is just don't get him in there with Usyk, man.
Yeah.
There's two different sides of this sport you kind of need to keep apart.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Where maybe if Canelo wants to do a charity one at the end of his career with Jake Paul in an exhibition, go for it, make your money.
Yeah.
But when you've got the pinnacle of the sport, don't mix it up with the clown show of the sport at the same time. You got to keep them separate, otherwise they lose what makes them different. Where like Jake Paul loses the clown show aspect and the circus aspect, and Usyk loses the elite of the elite aspect. Because how can you call someone the elite of the elite if they're squaring off with Jake Paul after their fight? You just can't.
Yeah.
You know, it takes away.
Well, I just think that we're in a time now in the world where Jake Paul has an audience that's probably bigger than what Turkey has, like Usyk has, right? Yeah. You know, Brandon Schaub. We're transition to this. I want to get your piece on this, but Usyk and Dubois, amazing event. But if I was,
by the way, on Usyk, before we segue, we love Usyk in the UK. We love him in the UK. Needs to be mentioned because everyone, and this is a thing that's going around, everyone is talking about how the English are so sad. Usyk's whooping all of their guys because he is. Usyk came over, he beat Bellew for undisputed, I think, or maybe he was defending undisputed, I'm not sure. But he beat Bellew by TKO, he was the English lad. Then he beat Joshua, Dubois, Fury twice, Joshua twice, Dubois twice. So he's beaten all of these English heavyweights. And but we love him. Usyk gets cheers in the crowd in Wembley Arena. I don't know why. He's such a cool dude, though, and I need to mention that about Usyk. He's one of the coolest personalities. Humble dude, never shit talks too far, very playful, very silly, and he's very wholesome. He's a wholesome dude, and it's just fighting. And you said it about the guys don't fight everyone anymore, and Usyk does. I want to say that's very admirable of him, but also it's because he's the fucking... They didn't want him being champ at the end of all of this. They wanted AJ as champ. They wanted Fury as champ. They wanted Dubois to get this one over him so they could retire Usyk and have Dubois as the new face of the division. So although it's like admirable that he takes all these fights, it's also that he doesn't really have a say. Yeah. Like he's just sort of got to do like all of these rematches. Yep. AJ doesn't have to do all of these rematches if he's getting these wins. You know, if he gets one win over Usyk, there's no... Well, you know.
Even if he was a champion, I remember reading that he had to fight this guy or he has to relinquish his belt. And he goes, I don't want to fight this guy. I'm just going to relinquish the belt. And then you have two guys who are fighting for the belt. I mean, that's just what boxing is, right?
That was Dubois and Joshua fighting for his belt. And then he circled back around and unified it again, undisputed.
Exactly. It's almost like, could you imagine this? Jon Jones not fighting Tom Aspinall, and then the UFC's like, we're going to strip you, but no, we had to have him retire, and then now he gets to come back. We're going to get to that, but I'm going to go back to, I'm going to get to the point. Segue. Brandon Schaub came out there and said that the UFC is dying in America, right? And my take is, it's not. The reason why is because I was talking to somebody, and they said, if you look at he said that the journalist, Dana White does not break news with those guys. He breaks news on his Instagram, and he also breaks news with Nelk Boys or somebody else or Nina Drama, whoever it may be. It's not guys like MMA Fighting or Helwani or Sherdog MMA.
Or he breaks it with Stephen A. Smith or someone like this.
Right? And you look at that, or those guys, they're not even allowed to go to the press conference and ask the hard questions. You have MMA Junkie, I think Mike Morgan, I might have got his name wrong, but the reason why is because the UFC already has those audience. They have that audience already. The audience it doesn't have is my children. My children don't watch the UFC. But you know who my kids do watch? I Show Speed, Kai Cenat. They don't watch Nuck Boys.
You have failed them, DJ, is what I'm hearing.
Well,
I'm joking. It's fine.
They know, but they don't know, right? So my kids...
They know that Kai Cenat and I Should Speed silly shit, right? They're not like,
it's like, right?
These guys did, yeah.
And so when you're not in that audience set, you don't have that audience, you want to break into that audience. How do you do that? You do shit with the content creators, and then now you get it. Where Brandon Schaub was saying like UFC's dying in America. I asked my father-in-law. I was like, "Do you think UFC's dying?" He goes, "Fuck no, it's at its peak." I was like, "You're the everyday consumer that doesn't care about. He's the baddest motherfucker in the world. I want to watch it, right?" Yeah. I asked another guy at the gym. Totally random. Don't know who he is. do you think UFC's dying? He goes, fuck no, it's the best it's ever been, right? That's your everyday mama pops, woman who shows up to kickboxing class. I'm here to just get a workout in. They're going to keep on buying their pay-per-view. They're not following the storylines. They don't care. They're going
to keep the restaurant open rather than the critics giving their reviews.
We talked about this, the Chinese restaurant, and we talked about this, right? So I think people have to realize that we don't pay the bills, right? We don't pay the bills. It's the everyday mom and dad who are looking for something to watch every fucking Saturday night just to watch, right? They're not following the storyline. So when Brandon Schaub said that, I was like, yeah, why would I want to break news when I already have your audience? When if I have Kai Cenat come to the UFC event live and he could fucking stream that live, you know how many households I'm going to be in or audience I'm going to touch that I might not have been able to touch. Then they become new fans, and then those new fans, that's how I see the UFC's growing more massive. Yeah. What's your take on that?
I get what you mean because, they even let Aiden Ross stream the event.
Exactly.
And watch it on his stream. And he's got like 70,000 live viewers and they're all kids, And it's not about getting the kids to pay for a pay-per-view. They're not going to pay. No. They're not going to buy anything. It's not like you want them, we want the kids to be buying Pereira merch. I don't think that's their aim. It's not about selling to the kids of the next generation, which is insane to say because I remember when I was younger, I sound like an old fuck, but when I was younger, you weren't even allowed to market things to kids legally on advertisements. But now kids are fair game in the economy, which is insane to me. But either way, they're not even trying to sell it to the kids. They're just trying to make children subconsciously aware of these characters like Oliveira and Topuria and, I know him. He was in that TikTok I saw once. Or I know him. He was on so-and-so stream that one time. And I know Sean Strickland. He was on Aiden Ross's stream. I remember seeing him on there. So it's not really that they need to know all about the sport. But they become subconsciously aware. And then when they become adults, they accidentally know about it. You know what I mean? They accidentally know about it. Now they're more interested. And that's kind of how it was for me. But there wasn't the same way of getting that information to me as a kid. I got that information from being in like a fucking taekwondo gym, and some of the adults would talk about the fights, and some of the teenagers in the gym that were older than me would show some highlight of something that happened. So it's a different way now of getting the new generation involved. And I wouldn't say the UFC is dying. I would say that this 6-month period has been a pretty bad period of time for the UFC in terms of big events and getting the big matchups. But there are often those lulls in action. We've had worse moments in years before. We've had bad pay-per-view cards before. So do I think that the UFC could be better? Yes. I think there's so many things the UFC could do to be better. However, I don't think it's the worst it's ever been. Like, it's mainstream enough now to where it will keep afloat just by doing the bare minimum, which is the thing that I don't like about it. Is that I don't like that something can exist while doing the bare minimum. I'd rather it be doing everything it can to make it the best way possible. But I agree with Brendan Schaub's take about not having media because the MMA media at the press conferences are fucking retards. They are retarded people, and it's all I've got to say. Like I wish we had some hard hitting questions at the media day. But the problem is maybe that would turn into Ariel trying to get a gotcha moment on Dana White or something like that. So who knows what it would turn into. Yeah. But at least let's have some decorated media members at these events because the presser questions are awful. You know what I'm saying? We need like a proper team of media members to put together a plan to how can we make this press conference good. I feel like they all go up there with their same generic questions as robots, like Dana White's robot employees of the media to ask, are you going to win this weekend? How you feeling coming up to Saturday night? That's all they've got. Like, hey, Poirier, how does it feel to be in Louisiana? Yeah. Like, it's just simple shit. So I agree with Brendan for a bit. And I think, but I also think in a way, even though the UFC has shunned media, it's left open this.
Yeah. That's
me
true.
And you.
Yeah.
Talking on our show, me existing in the first. I don't exist if the UFC's shunning media out and sending them onto social media platforms and YouTube to get by. Yep. Like, I exist because I thought, this is a sport where, I can jump in and talk about this. Yep. You know what I mean? I don't have to have a media pass. I don't need to be backstage and in the cahoots with the promotion. I can be an outcast and still get by talking about this sport. So I think what Brendan Schaub says is a negative for the UFC in terms of shunning the media out has also like subconsciously either bit them in the ass with my existence in a way, and maybe some other MMA YouTubers, but also it helps them in a way as well because
we're promoting it.
A counterculture is still a culture to the sport, you know? So I think it worked out in the end. So yeah, I would agree with you. I don't think it's the worst it's ever been.
Gotcha.
But I hear his point. But there's more to it than that.
I mean, they're about to have a fight in the White House. I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, you want me to start this, or you want to take this one away?
Don't let McGregor in the fucking wardrobes of that White House. I'll tell you that much, mate. Don't come in, Trump. I'm busy in here, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Don't stand up, DJ. Don't do that. Jesus Christ. No, but that would be scenes in the White House, huh? Connor, I'm trying to get into the wardrobe. You've got to let me in. And then Connor's just in there. Don't come in, Trump. I'm fucking busy, yeah? I'm taking a picture in here.
The best part about this is that, well, for one, I got to give people flowers when they deserve them. Shout out to Dana White for saying I can't have Jon Jones I can't have him on the White House card. It's too much of liability, and I respect the fact. Hopefully, he can hold his word, right? But I'm going to jump into this. Okay, first off, if I'm Tom Aspinall, I'm not fighting Jon Jones. Here's the reason why. I would approach this as a very, very bitter athlete, because think about how much time, whether Jones did it or the UFC did it, they've taken a year off of my career to be able to
prime year
as well, to be able to compete. Maybe the UFC paid him. I don't know, right? But as a sure fact that, you just retired. Now we're going to be able to fight at the White House July 4th. You're getting back in the testing pool, and then you all of a sudden think you can fight for the heavyweight championship. Not happening. Not happening. I would be like, nope. If you want to fucking fight me, you're going to fight somebody else. I don't give a fuck if you're the greatest of all time. You are going to be treated just like every other athlete. You need to work your way back to the world championship, as I did. As an interim champion, I defend this motherfucker, right? That's how I would approach the fight, where it's like, I'm not fighting him. Like, he's not, if I was Tom Aspinall, I was like, he's not worthy to fight me. He's not worthy. You just retired. You need to work your way back up and get a title shot. That's how I would approach it. And I shot at Dana White for saying, I can't let him headline that card because it's too risk of a liability. I can't. You said you're going to fight Tom Aspinall. You said you're going to do it. Obviously, we're playing he said, she said. You said you're going to do it. And now when we get you the money you want to do, you say no, you retire. Like, so shout out Dana White for that. And if I was Tom Aspinall, I would not fight Jon Jones until he has another fight. That's my take on that.
I hear it. I hear the point. I hear Dana's point on not letting Jon Jones in the fucking White House. 100%. Absolutely hear his point. I get it. You know what I mean? You don't want the first lady getting a black eye. So let's not, you know what I mean? Duck, Ivanka, duck. You know what I mean? Weave, Melania, weave. You know what I mean? They toughen them, Melania. Shoot a double leg. We can get out of this.
Oh, God.
So I get that point about him not wanting Jones there because of the events that he's ruined before. 200 fell through, and he's been untrustworthy in other moments.
Fuck.
I don't know what else would headline. You'd have to have McGregor back if not for that. And both of them are just a problematic duo to have headlining the fucking presidential card. So maybe this would be something that you'd save like who's the American? You need an American champ, didn't you, in the mix? You need
you don't. Fuck that.
White House card, you need an American.
America, we love all nationalities. Okay. We could do Ilya Topuria versus Islam Makhachev.
Islam Makhachev, yeah. Woo! That's what I was going to say, but then I thought, oh, no, American involved. But you know what? The sport is so international now.
Exactly.
Topuria is beloved like he would be an American, you know, the way he's knocking people out. So maybe they could just do like one of the biggest fights ever and put it on that card. Yeah. But what was the other thing that you said about the White House? And, Aspinall shouldn't fight Jones.
Yeah. I just feel like you just can't come in and out. It's just like we're giving athletes too much power to say what they're going to fucking do. And I'm not saying, I saw Jon Jones's post today. Here's what he says. I heard the comments made last night press conference. While I was a little disappointed, I'm still in the UFC drug testing pool, staying sharp and continuing to train like a professional. I'll be ready for whatever comes next. In recent interviews, I shared the opportunity to fight at the White House gave me something deeper to fight for, and why that goes beyond paychecks or belts. Fighting for my country gives me greater purpose. The silver lining is all this knowing the fans see my heart, they see I'm ready and willing to take on anyone to represent my country on a historic stage. For me, it's never been just about the opponents. I'm chasing a legacy, something timeless, something bigger than the moment. So for now, I'll keep grinding, stay patient, and stay faithful. I'm ready to fight July 4th. For me, I'm like, okay, if you want to, I mean, obviously they're going to have a fight. I would think somebody who's a big name. But I feel like there's a little bit of a entitlement in that statement. I could be wrong. People are going to say, oh, you're a fucking...
There's no awareness of the problems that he's caused over the past year. He doesn't take into account how he might have ruffled some fucking feathers over the past year when he's saying that.
Yeah.
You know, like it's almost like he's acting like he's done nothing wrong in the way that he's approached the past year of his career. But if Jones is saying that today, but today's opinion from Jones means nothing. Tomorrow, you could bring him and say, you still down for the White House card? And he could go, I'm not fucking doing it. You know what I mean? He could answer that. You need to have like 100 days of messaging Jones and take like a conglomerate amount. And if it's over 80% yes that he said on those days, then maybe you'd let him in. But yeah, I agree with you about Tom, because it's not even about, it's about principle at a certain level as a man, right? Yeah. Tom can't go on another year groveling for the Jon Jones fight. So if the fight comes about, it can't be from him begging for it. He can't come crawling back after standing his ground and moving on from it, and the division moves on. Tom can't come back crawling back with his hat in his hands and say, oh, you know, John, now can we do it? He needs to have this approach of maybe not you need to fight someone in the first place, but maybe just hit Jones with some of his own medicine. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where Tom's like, sorry, I'm looking for big names right now in my division that have actually accomplished something at heavyweight. So maybe not even like rule himself out of the fight completely, but go about accepting it in a teasy way that kind of like gives Jones a bit of a taste of his own medicine, you know? Like, sorry, John, not interested in fighting old men. Something like that. Something along those lines, you know? Oh, sorry, John, I know you're busy right now, probably off in Thailand. Something along those lines. I don't know what he would do, but I want to say something on the Jon Jones Tom Aspinall thing. They announced Jon Jones's... We just still don't have an announcement for Tom Aspinall's fight. No. I think that's a miss. I think they should have announced it when they announced Jones's retirement. Fresh with it. Like, Jones is retired, and this is Aspinall's next fight. But we still haven't got an answer, so... But
the way the shit probably works, if this is truly going to happen... With the UFC fight in the White House, I bet you they'll put ice on Tom Aspinall and save him for Jon Jones, which I just don't like that. I just feel I think it's fucking stupid, to be honest with you. It's like, why are we just sitting and letting this, like, oh, we're just going to keep the heavyweight championship on? Nope. It's almost like it doesn't exist. Like, I just don't like that this love triangle between Dana, Jon, and Tom is so entangled. Where it's like, fuck, man, can we just move on and get Tom fight? Like, I think Jailton Almeida is about to fight. Is he scheduled to
Volkov.
fight?
He's scheduled to fight Volkov.
I didn't like that. I'm like, fuck, man. Like, let's have Tom Aspinall fight Jailton Almeida at fucking MSG. Like, finally, the heavyweight championship is fucking back. He's about to fight Jailton Almeida.
And it's a fresh opponent that hasn't lost to Jones before.
Exactly. But no, they go give him fucking Volkov where fucking Tom's already fought Volkov. I'm like, fuck.
Because then you run the risk if Volkov beats Almeida, then you're stuck with Aspinall's guys that he's already beaten. I hear it. Yeah. They're going to do the Garn fight. It's England versus France. They're going to do the Garn fight. They're going to sell the angle. Yeah. So I just hope they get it done soon, because it gets to the point now where if Tom is still talking about this, and if I see another interview of Tom Aspinall saying, yeah, we'll fucking see what happens, mate, I'm going to lose my mind about it. It's going to get to the point where the fans who have rallied behind Tom, I don't think Tom should do another interview until the fight's announced. Yeah. That's what I think. Because it'll get to the point where, people will start to turn on Aspinall because like they thought Jones was the only thing holding back his career. So now Jones is gone. If we're still holding back his career, then all of a sudden people are going to start fucking pointing fingers and say maybe Aspinall was the fucking reason. And if you were being held back, why aren't you ready to go right now? So I think the UFC are managing this really badly. Something to mention though is the idea of Pereira Aspinall. I know Pereira weighed 247 recently.
That'd be a great fucking
It
fight.
just got brought up in the studio chat here. But that'd be a great fight.
Yeah. But then who does Magomed Ankalaev fight?
Yuri
Right,
Prochazka.
Yeah, you fight Yuri Prochazka. Yeah, that'd be a good fight too. Yeah.
But I think ideally you would see the Ankalaev Pereira rematch. We can't just move on from that.
Yeah, I feel there's a lot of substance there, especially how Pierre was like, I wasn't my best. I was battling this. And Ankalaev was like, I made that shit look, I was hurt too. So you let me know when you want to do it. And he hasn't, like, I feel there's something there. And I just feel like, once again, it's like, we can't rely on fucking Poatan to go and save every fucking division, right? We can't have that. Like, let's let order be restored in all these divisions, including the heavyweight, which it truly fucking needs it. And let's get the heavyweight champion back on the fucking road fighting. Like, that's what we're asking for. Is not very hard. It's not.
It really isn't.
It's fucking like, it's a very easy problem to solve. The fact that it's a fucking problem is mind blowing to me.
It speaks badly on the organization, really, and how they've handled it. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Pereira Ankalaev needs to be first, because then it just doesn't sound awesome for Pereira to lose and then move up.
Yeah,
and fight for the belt. You know what I mean? If Pereira was like heavyweight champion again,
now we got
and he's cleared his division underneath him, and maybe Yuri gets past Allberg, and Yuri, they're not going to run a trilogy with him and Pereira yet, and they want Yuri to do one more. Now you've got a perfect reason for Pereira and Aspinall. Yeah. Both belts on the line. Fucking forget Jon Jones. This is the new coolest thing.
Yes.
You know?
Yep.
So that could be big. That could be a fucking White House main event. Pereira Aspinall, like heavyweight championship on the line. So that's what I think they should do next. And that's that topic. What else we got to discuss, DJ? What other current events?
And one more thing. If Jon Jones wants to fight at the White House, he can fight there, right? But I just don't think it should be for the heavyweight championship of the world. Have him fight Alex Pereira. Have him fight somebody else. But I just think this Jones versus Tom doesn't need to happen unless Jones actually fights another person. Like, if he wants to, like, hey guys, you know what? I'm down to fight. I'll be at the White House. I don't deserve to fight for the championship. I'm just gonna fight whoever you want me to. I just feel like I don't want to see Jon Jones on the White House. I just don't like the fact that if I'm gonna fight, it's gonna be at the White House. It's like, do you earn that privilege? It's like, we tried.
If anything, over his mistakes, he's earned none of that privilege. Like, if he was like the best behaved fighter of all time, and this was GSP saying this type of shit, then maybe it'd be different. But with Jones, it's like, dude, you fucked up this company so bad, and the what's it called, the image of this company has been messed up a lot, and events have fallen through, and they've had to cover for you here, and that whole picogram thing looks silly. And I just think that I don't know. I'd be very surprised if the UFC are keen on treating him nicely and giving him exactly what he wants the next time they phone call him. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'd be very shocked.
You know, there's one thing about this sport, and it's in basketball too. I mean, Kobe Bryant, he wasn't a saint. He was cheating on his wife too. You have so many fucking athletes who do so many stupid shit, right? Conor sending dick pics when he's married to D, and you have Jones just doing stupid shit, threatening. It's like nobody. Imagine you have an astronomer at Coldplay concert cheating on his wife. What happens? Fucking leave. And he didn't do anything morally wrong, right? He's just, well, I mean, morally wrong. Yes, he is, right? But
not hear Mrs. Johnson hear this. Let's not let her hear this. He did nothing wrong. That guy did nothing wrong. But yeah, I know what you mean. He didn't do anything like evil.
He didn't do anything like evil. Yeah. Fucking leave. I mean, the whole world comes crashing on him. These guys do something, I'm fighting at the White House. I'm going to the greatest, the most sacred. I can't even go to the fucking White House. And I gotta no fucking DUI. Never. I can't even get on the fucking front lawn. And they guys, it blows my fucking mind. But let's move forward. Let's talk about UFC 319. DDP King of Africa taking on Hamzat. And then they moved Aaron Pico versus Mavzar off that card because Mavzar.
That's the rumor, yeah.
That's a rumor. That's unfortunate. I was looking forward to seeing Mavzar get the opportunity to fight, but I think I saw something 11 cancellation fights or 15.
Yeah, a lot of them aren't him, to be fair. A lot of them aren't him, but a lot of them are. So,
okay.
So it's half and half pretty much. But I think there's more that weren't him than were him.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unfortunate that fight got, thrown off. But we also have Rob Whittaker taking an RDR. So I think like those are the two big fights between next episode.
That's this weekend.
That's this weekend. Yes. RDR versus Rob Whittaker, which is going to be a banger fight. I'm not sure what's the rest of the card, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited what's come. I mean, I'll let you take it away. I know you got you on all the fucking cards. I got to do more research.
Yeah. I mean, I've got, let me give you a generalization of the horizon of MMA and what we've got coming up. We've got 319, which is pretty good. And if it does get an additional Pico versus Evloev, it would be a really good card now. Because that's got Duplessis Chimaev, which I think is one of the biggest fights of the year. For sure. This is up there. It's not Topuria Makhachev level, but it's like a step down from that. Like it's right below that kind of level of fight where this is a huge contender versus champion matchup. Not champion on champion, but this is one of the better contender champion matchups of the year. We've also got Jared Cannonier MVP on that card. Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates is rebooked for that card. Asakura is re-debuting against Tim Elliott on that card. And then obviously we may have Evloev versus Pico on there as well. So that 319 card's looking pretty good.
Yep.
If it stays together. So that'd be a big one for the USA, which I think is in Chicago. But other than that, we've got a couple fight nights in between there and now. We got the Abu Dhabi one this weekend. Whittaker versus Derrida. Huge fight. I think I've got Derrida at this point.
Yep.
Because Whittaker has taken a few. And, with a guy like Derrida who's so good at finishing and bullying and imposing a physicality. And I think that's been Whittaker's problem at middleweight throughout his career is if someone can really bully him, then he seems to struggle with it quite a bit. But maybe he's too technical for Derrida. You never know. That could be an aspect here as well. But that's that card. There's some other good fights on there. Yan versus Marcus McGee.
Yep.
Sharad Putin Magomedov's on the card. Krylov versus Guskov's a good fight. Almabayev Temirov. There's Bryce Mitchell's on there versus Saeed Nurmagomedov. I mean,
135-pound debut.
Yeah, we got some good scraps on the card.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be some sick fights. We got RDR and a Mighty Cast this week. Fellow one championship guy. We spent a little bit of time together in Singapore when he was fighting. But I agree with you. His physicality, him able to bully, him just being able to take the fight anywhere. But, Rob Whittaker, Bobby Knuckles, the Reaper, he also, he shows up in fucking fights too. But I agree with you. I think the DDP versus Hamzat is probably a true champion versus number one contender. Somebody who's undefeated, somebody who's been running through the whole fucking division, had his ups and downs, was he going to make it to the next fight? Is he healthy enough? And finally, he's in the U.S., right? He's already here training. So everything is looking good, green. That's going to be a bigger fight. And, Kaya Sakura fighting Tim Elliott. I'm excited for that because, I thought Kaya Sakura, coming in, fighting Pantoja right out the rip is like, that's
too much.
That's way too much. Get your feet wet. So I'm excited. But I think we covered everything, man. I mean, obviously you killed it with the D and the Connor and the dick pic. Man, if you guys have not seen the video of Guru breaking that down, do yourself a favor. Like, subscribe here. Then go over to Guru's channel. Get some popcorn. Get a glass of wine or whatever you want to. Watch that fucking video and you're going to fucking laugh your ass off. Me and my dad were literally... My dad, he follows the sport. He heard about the leaked photo. He went and we watched that shit. Oh, man.
Insane. What an insane. It's such an insane. Don't come in here, DJ. It's such an insane sport that really unfolded on the yacht of McGregor. It's MMA is truly the gift that keeps on giving with some of these stories.
But the best
no other sport has this.
But the best part you said about that, after everything you said, is you said, think about the man he could have been. Think about the Conor when he was like, I'm fucking addicted to this shit, man. It's like, you're obsessive, right? It's like, but that's what probably makes him the person he is today with, being a great promoter when he does the bare knuckle fight and he goes, you'll dance for me, yeah? Like, that's
October 7th is your date.
Yeah.
And you dance me, boy. He's become a real villain of a guy. He's crazy.
mean, that same passion and obsession he had of the game, it's been able to find another way in life. Whatever he's doing it, you know he's going to do it 100%.
Yeah.
He's sending a nude, you're going to get the best nude ever.
It ain't any old nude.
Yeah,
you know?
it's the
double champ nude right there, dude. That's the champ nude that he's sending out. Someone was making a joke. You know, Poirier's retirement, they had Anthony Smith on the video package. They do video packages for retirement now, right?
Yep.
And they had some of the fighters send in video packages of them talking about Poirier. And Anthony Smith was up there, and my chat was saying something like, what if they asked former opponents of Dustin Poirier to send in video messages to add in... You know where this is going, to add into the promo. And we were talking about, maybe if Cub Swanson would send in some heartfelt message or something. Yeah. But then you would think, don't give up McGregor the opportunity to fucking send in a fucking video here. Let's not reach out to McGregor and say, hey, get back to us with a video. We'll play it on fucking pay-per-view. Because they'll just get done with Cub Swanson saying, Poirier, hell of a scrapper, man. What a fight. And it will cut to, what's up, fellas? How's it going? It's the repeat, yeah? I'm back. Hey, fellas.
Oh, God.
I reckon he would, that's something they definitely had to avoid. But yeah, McGregor's a wild fuck. I think the thing is with McGregor is he must have had the most joy and happiness any man has ever had when he beat Alvarez. Maybe. He was so on top of the world. He had it eaten out of the palm of his hand. Think about the way Ireland talk about McGregor now.
Oh.
And think about the way they were singing fucking, honestly, Ireland, pathetic little songs.
Conor McGregor.
There's only one Conor McGregor.
I've heard
and
the
there's no fighter better. And he's gonna knock out Floyd Mayweather. So Floyd, watch out. They had that whole song about him. He must have felt like he was going to become president of Ireland.
Yeah.
So I think he's just been chasing that buzz and nothing's doing it for him. So here he is in his wardrobe. He's tried everything. He's tried every line in the world this man has tried. Okay?
Good.
And now here he is at the end game in his wardrobe with D trying to get into from the other side, and Azalea Banks is getting a shocker tonight is basically what he's thinking. But yeah, Conor McGregor, man.
Well, Guru, it's always a good time to chop it up with you, my friend. Boys, if you guys enjoyed this episode of the Mighty Guru podcast, please leave a like, subscribe. Also, hit the bell to go live. Go to MMA Guru's channel, subscribe, like all his videos. You guys are going to love it. And make sure you guys stay here and like everything on this channel. Guru, we'll see you at UFC 319, right?
It was a pleasure to be on. We'll be recapping the UFC 319, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure it'll be a really good one. So see you guys next month after the next pay-per-view. Remember, every pay-per-view, we're reacting to the cards and breaking them down here on the Mighty Guru Show. Don't ever miss it.